Greetings, family. Welcome to Pan-Africanism towards Nationhood, building a global Black business pipeline. And yes, family, you're back with the kings of Pan-Africanism and Nationhood, Bomani Tyehimba and Kala Genesis. Yes, family, and we have a wonderful topic for you as usual. Developing and maintaining an Afrikstan to save us against casualties of Pan-Africanism and nationhood. Afrikstan Analysis, Kala Genesis and Bomani Tyehimba. So yes, family, welcome, welcome. We're ready to do it again, and me and my good brother Kala have been talking about some good stuff, and we're gonna link this topic with a nice summit that went on that a lot of people are talking about. So we're definitely going to get into those things, and before we get into it, definitely want to just make sure that let you know our wonderful schedule coming up on the journey of a lifetime, the African continent. Yes, Carla, can you see all those beautiful dates, including the wonderful dates for Liberia, which is where we start at? Liberia, March 29th, April 9th, 2024. So family, that seems like a ways away, but that is the future plan. So I want to make sure we give everybody enough time to get themselves organized, get everything in place as we take that journey to an incredible historic country. And so, fam, what you see is a list of incredible countries that we can connect with, and all the countries that we have on our schedule. It's countries that we have people living and doing business in, and the two main countries that me and Kala is always here to talk about is our projects and our connections and our network and the bridge that we have connected uh, from America to Liberia and Ghana. Great historic stuff. So as we look at the schedule, family, we're on our way to Ghana in the next several days, and that is our December journey. That will be 16 years traveling to Ghana, 22 journeys of a lifetime. So, family, when we talk about nation building, talk about organizing and getting our people together, uh, this is examples of just how we build our energy and build experience, because that's what matters: building experience and connecting to the continent and making these moves. And we do these introduction journeys, and these introduction journeys are designed to just get you connected at an introduction level. And it's one of those things where not all of us are going to make it to where we feel like we can live and do business and invest in the countries that we're taking you to. But that's never always the situation. I mean, the introduction journey connect you to where you can get into different things, but there's only few pioneers that we usually get. And those pioneers, we look to connect with and work with so we can do wonderful things. So we're going to kick off the year 2023 with a nice, incredible schedule. That's Senegal and Gambia, March 30th to April 10th. And then we have Ghana again, May 24th to June 5th. Then Rwanda, July 20th to the 30th. In Tanzania, November 16th to the 27th. And then we're going to close out the year with South Africa, December 24th to January 4th. So that is our journey of a lifetime schedule. And family, while we're doing that, our goal is to build the energy for our incredible Black Star Pan-African community. And building that community will put us in a position where we have all of the things in place where we can function at a high level there in a country like Ghana, especially if we're pushing repatriation and pushing Pan-Africanism and nationhood. We want to make sure we have professional operations running. So the best thing that we figure out to do is to start building that movement now. And talking about that movement, let me just share one of our postcards. And I'm telling people that when they look at these things, they may say, "Hey, you guys got all this land, and it's just land, and you don't got a whole town, city built yet." That's the point. The point is to start off to where we can build it and build it together. Uh, if we just sit around and wait for foreign investments and wait for everyone else to do it, then we'll end up not owning our own future, not owning literally anything. You wake up every day, and everywhere you step outside your house, including everyone else have ownership over you. So it's something that that's been a spread all over Black America, to where all the neighborhoods, urban neighborhoods that we used to live in, um, everyone else just own the majority of uh, the world that we live in. So this is all about us building an incredible energy in Africa. So Black Star Pan-African community in Ghana, but also, as we build connections in Liberia, there's other investment projects. So we're reaching out to people who are open to this world, whether you're looking to build industries, whether you're looking to build residential operation. What you need is land. You need land that's clean, land that's paid for, land that's not free, land that's not into all of these things that goes on. So we've survived the test of time as Black Star Pan-African community, and want to make sure that we connect our people to a proper connection. So as you look down the screen, you'll see all of the contact information: name, number, email address, countries we're going to, and we just say, family, just reach out and reach out, so we can take this to another level. So if you're looking for, land to build, and you're looking to build your industries, and you're looking to build, whether it's resorts, whether it's build, and something what we'll consider a nice beach town, what you see is a foundation, it's a layout, and from that layout, our goal is to work together as a group and keep building. So you'll see a lot more once we get to Ghana and we show you more of our updates, as we usually do, like every 6 months or every few months, and to keep it going. So that is the foundation for our Pan-African nation-state energy, where we can build our own ecosystem and ultimately just build element of us, that way we can compete as a people. Because properly constructed, we just outmatch anywhere. So we're gonna have to seriously look at consolidating our energies to the highest level. So you see, me and my good brother Kala Genesis working it together, and we're gonna bring all of this connection to another level in Liberia. So we're going to be looking for people to reach out to us as we make these two nations a great headquarters for repatriation and things like that. The only thing that we can't promise you if you come to Ghana and Liberia with us, we're going to give you a Ghana or Liberia passport and give you citizenship. So Kala is going to talk more into that. And bless the nations where people can do those things with, and I respect that to the highest level. But that's not really our direct priority at this moment. And I know some people may say, hey, why not? Or people may say, you guys like to do things the hard way. And I was like, you know what? People like ourselves, me and my good brother right here, we don't take shortcuts. We've actually put the work in to build both of our organizations. And that's why we can connect and work together and be a good social support and energy for each other. But yes, brother Kala, what do you think about all of this, man? As I've been talking
I'm excited. And also, we want to talk about that summit, the U.S. Africa summit tonight. That's the main topic tonight. We're going to play a video. It's going to set it up what I'm talking about, so I can just eat right off this video. Everything I've been talking about for the last few years, why we say the Afrikstan is important, why we say Kala says what he does, and says what he says, and everything. What I've seen over my years, of almost 30-something years of doing the Pan-African movement, what I've seen, the hundreds of people I've interviewed and the hundreds of people I've built with over the years. I mean, I go way back to the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s in the Pan-African world, I've seen people come and go. I've seen movements come. I was a part of all these different movements and everything, and I just came to one conclusion. Well, okay, if we're going to be serious about Pan-Africanism, we need to have our own territory, our own land, our own infrastructure on the African continent. That's the only way it's going to work. And we see this now with this U.S. Africa summit. Now, the problem is that I see with the U.S. Africa summit is this, right? People were just blindsided. Why did this happen all of a sudden? This just didn't happen out of nowhere, right? 2 years into the Biden administration, right? This happened because there was a big pushback against the U.S. trying to bully Africa into capitulating against Russia. Okay, and the United States for years have been concerned about the growing China influence in Africa. Okay, and if I can show you one thing, let me just set this up right. This is what China did. I'm gonna send you a picture, Bomani, on WhatsApp. See if you can put this up. This is a list of all the stuff China has done over the last few years in Africa, right? And the United States has done absolutely nothing as far as like investment, boots on the ground, and stuff like this. So opinion in Africa uh, against the United States is growing. This is why this summit has happened. Not because the United States decided, oh, well, Africa's a great place. No, they know Africa, for the United States has been writing Africa off as this, oh, this Africa and everything. How are you going to look at a continent that giant, that size, right? And just dismiss it as, oh, Africa is this, Africa is this. Oh, we got some Nigerians here doing this and the other thing. They have no idea what they've been doing over the last few years because what the problem is that they look at the African immigrants here and they look at African Americans and they think that because they seem like they got us under control and the African immigrants under control, that's going to translate to people for the most part who have their own governments, their own diplomacies, who could do this. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you a lesson in history, right? Liberia outmaneuvered France and Britain, when it was trying to colonize Liberia. Why? Because there's certain things you can do when you have a sovereign state or recognized as a sovereign state. Diplomacy and stuff like this. You can't just do what you want to do. See, right now in America, they could do whatever they want to do with us. They can kick our ass every day and then put out a video saying black people in America say that America is the best thing since apple pie. There's not a damn thing we can do about it. They could actually round us up and kill us if they wanted to. They could do whatever they want to do, but you can't do that to a sovereign state without consequences. Why? Because that sovereign state could link with another sovereign state. It could link with America's enemies. Okay? Can you imagine if North Korea, right, say, you know something? I want to build a facility storing nuclear weapons somewhere in, let's say, Chad or somewhere in Central Africa. What would that do? That was setting the whole world into a tailspin. Can that happen? Yeah, it could possibly happen. That could happen if the relationship between the United States and Africa keeps eroding, and terror. Now, what they need is black African Americans to go along with this nonsense in the United States, U.S. policy. I'm like this. I have not seen any benefit that African Americans in the Pan-African world have benefited from the U.S. policy in Africa. I have not seen it. Linda Green Hatfield, right? She was a former ambassador to Liberia. Sirleaf had her removed, right? But she's the UN UN ambassador to Africa, or whatever like that. She basically called African leaders stupid because they wouldn't side with the United States. African leaders don't know what they're doing about Russia. So she's a hack, she's a hack, and she's with the Clintons and all these other Obamas and all these other people who want their new world order agenda in Africa. Okay, so let me send you something, Bomani, and let's set this up. Then we're gonna play this video. Okay, play this video. This video is gonna set everything that we're saying into motion.
We can play the video right now.
Play the video right now.
Leaders of 49 African nations are in Washington, D.C. this week for a 3-day Africa summit organized by the Biden administration. The U.S. Africa Leaders Summit comes as the United States is trying to counter the growing influence of China and Russia in Africa. On Monday, Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, revealed the United States is pledging $55 billion in economic, health, and security support for Africa over the next 3 years.
Working closely with Congress, the U.S. will commit $55 billion to Africa over the course of the next 3 years, across a wide range of sectors to tackle the core challenges of our time. These commitments build on the United States' long-standing leadership and partnership in development, development, economic growth, health, and security in Africa over the past 3 decades.
During the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit, President Biden's expected to express support for the African Union to join the G20 and to push for the United Nations Security Council to include a permanent member from Africa. Axios is also reporting Biden's planning his first trip as president to sub-Saharan Africa next year. The Washington summit comes as Africa faces numerous crises, from the climate emergency to political instability. Over the past 2 years, there have been coups in Mali, Sudan, Burkina Faso, and Guinea. U.S.-trained officers led several of those coups. The 4 nations were not invited to the Washington summit. Neither was Eritrea or leaders from Western Sahara, which has been occupied by Morocco since the 1970s. One prominent African leader who will not be attending this week's summit is South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who faces possible impeachment over corruption allegations. The summit comes as the U.S. continues to expand its military presence in Africa. President Biden recently sent U.S. troops back into Somalia, reversing an order by Donald Trump to withdraw troops. We're joined now by 2 guests. Lena Ben Abdallah is an assistant professor of politics at Wake Forest University in North Carolina. She's the author of Shaping the Future of Power, Knowledge Production, and Network Building in China-Africa Relations. And Samar Abalushi is an anthropologist at the University of California, Irvine, focusing on policing, militarism, and the so-called war on terror in East Africa. She's also a contributing editor for the publication Africa is a Country and a fellow at the Quincy Institute. Her forthcoming book is titled War Making and World Making. In August, the professors co-wrote an article titled Biden Administration Needs to Match Rhetoric with Action on Africa Policy. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Professor Samar Al-Balushi, let's begin with you. Talk about the significance of the summit, why the U.S. is holding it, the Washington, D.C. meeting of 49 African leaders, who's there and who isn't.
Good morning, Amy. It's great to be with you. The summit comes at a time when the U.S. and the Biden administration specifically is hoping to demonstrate its commitment to Africa at a time when Africa's geostrategic significance is on the rise, and at a time when U.S. influence on the continent is on the decline. So I think in the next few days, I think we can expect a good degree of performance and theater. The U.S. will be attempting to demonstrate that it respects African leaders as equal partners, that it respects the sovereignty of African states. We can expect to hear a lot of talk about shared goals on issues ranging from peace and security to democracy, development, and climate change. And all in all, I think the U.S. is hoping to signal that it is doing something new and different here when it comes to U.S.-Africa policy, in the sense that it is taking African states seriously as geostrategic players in their own right. Now, when you look between the lines, you'll see that there are tensions that remain with tensions between this rhetoric and mainstream thinking in Washington, D.C., and I'm thinking here especially of Congress, which continues to be dominated by Cold War thinking that views Africa almost entirely through the lens of security and through the lens of geopolitical rivals. And here I'm thinking specifically of Russia and China. We can take the example of a bill that was passed in the House earlier this year, almost unanimously. This bill was called Countering Malign Russian Activities in Africa Act. And the title speaks for itself, right? The objective of this bill is to monitor and effectively police Africa in its relations with Russia in terms of the kinds of agreements and partnerships that it might enter into. And some have interpreted this bill as an explicit response to, and in some ways even a form of punishment of African states for the way in which they voted at the UN General Assembly earlier this year in the wake of Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. You may recall that a good number of countries abstained in that vote. African states represented about half of those countries that abstained, roughly 17 of them. And the US was extremely frustrated by these developments and failed to take into account the extent to which African states were making this decision on their vote based on their own geopolitical interests. The U.S. ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, went out of her way to talk down to those African states that abstained, to chastise them, to tell them that they don't seem to understand the seriousness of what has unfolded. And we can see this kind of similar patronizing language evident in the text of the bill of this Countering Malign Russian Activities Act, in the sense that the U.S. presents itself as wanting to, quote unquote, shield African states from the, quote unquote, malign activities of Russia. Now, at no point in the bill do they define what constitutes malign, but the U.S. positions itself as morally superior and as well-placed to, lecture African states in their relationships with other powers. Now, we've also seen African leaders push back, right? A number of them have called out precisely this bill for the degree to which it is an insult to African sovereignty. And I think we can expect in the coming days that even as many African leaders play along with the rhetoric of shared goals and with the rhetoric of equal partnership, that behind the scenes, they are deeply aware of the unequal power dynamics that continue to shape U.S.-Africa relations.
I'm going to go back to Monday's news briefing with the White House, where National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan took questions about the Africa Summit.
As China looks to increase its influence on that continent, I'm curious, will the president seek to deliver any kind of message or word of warning to these African leaders that Beijing, whether it's through their financing or economic or military aid, is not in fact a faithful ally or partner?
This is going to be about what we can offer. It's going to be a positive proposition about the United States' partnership with Africa. It's not going to be about other countries. It's not going to be attempting to compare or contrast. It's rather going to be about the affirmative agenda that the United States has to bring to bear with Africa.
Professor Lena Ben-Abdullah, if you can respond to this, and you particularly look at Africa when it comes to the relationship between China and Africa, and if you can include that in your response.
Thank you so much, Amy, for having me. It makes sense for U.S. government officials to say and distance themselves from framing this summit and framing U.S. foreign policy towards Africa in the language of countering China. But this does not take away from the fact that China is definitely looming in the background. We know this summit is the second edition that the U.S. is hosting for African leaders. The first one was held in 2014. But on the China-Africa side, there have actually been 8 editions of such summits and meetings. So the first one was held in the year 2000, and it's called the China-Africa Forum, or the Forum for China-Africa Cooperation, short as known as FOCAC. And it has, and the China-Africa Forum edition actually has been held systematically every 3 years, and it has been taking place every 3 years since the year 2000. So there is more stability in that relationship, looking at the forum or the summit diplomacy, as it were. For the U.S., we know that the Biden administration has been trying to see how the U.S. can come back to the scene of Africa and to the scene of trying to show a partnership with African countries. And the first thing that comes to mind is the summit diplomacy, because it is that precisely that theatrical element of inviting these leaders, bringing them in, shaking hands, meeting, doing these press conferences, and so on and so forth. What more can show visibility of sort of this reigniting U.S.-Africa relations? But everybody knows in the back of their minds that there is definitely China, even if it's not spoken. The contrast and the comparison between what the U.S. is doing in Africa and what China is doing in Africa is definitely present in African leaders' minds as well. And we have seen African leaders be extremely pragmatic in their relations. They have been very vocal about telling the U.S. and telling other partners that they are not interested in choosing sides in these relationships. As Samar was saying, African leaders see themselves as geopolitical players of their own right, and this means that they are interested in shaping the relations with these foreign powers on their own terms, rather than being told or pressured or scolded in choosing or in shaping the relations with powers here or there. So African leaders, meet with China. The latest summit took place in November 2021. This was co-hosted between China and Senegal. And they are ready and excited to meet with partners from all over the place. And so they respond to calls from the U.S. to meet. And it will be interesting to see what the U.S. kind of puts on the table in terms of concrete aspects of the relationship. And this has been the issue with the U.S. And its foreign policy towards Africa. There has been a lot of rhetoric so far. This rhetoric about partnership, this rhetoric about taking Africans seriously, this rhetoric about the shared goals, as Samar mentioned, but we need to see more than this rhetoric. There needs to be concrete initiatives and projects put on the table so that this relationship can move forward. And insofar as comparisons with China, it makes sense for the US to stop making those direct links, because it is pretty difficult for the US right now to catch up to kind of what China has been doing in the continent. And so it just makes sense for the US to pretty much try to hone in its own competitive advantage, even though we all know in the back, countering China and Russia is definitely a huge part of US general national security agenda. I wanted to also mention something very briefly, which is to say the timing of this summit is really interesting. We first heard that the US was interested in hosting the second edition of US African Leaders Summit back in October. This was actually scheduled to take place in October at the tail end of the United Nations General Assembly meeting in New York. But what happened was the Biden administration chose to push back this meeting to December and host leaders from the Pacific Islands. And there was a summit between the US and Pacific Island nations in October at the tail end of the United Nations General Assembly. And this tells us a little bit about the priorities that the US government actually gives Africa in practical sense, in this urgency of the meeting. We all know when the Solomon Islands and China signed a security pact, an agreement, security agreement in the late summer, early fall, that basically was probably one of the reasons why we see the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit pushed to December when it was actually scheduled for October. So, in reality, when you look at U.S. foreign or national strategy, policies, and priorities, Africa is not really at the top, and African leaders.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah, so we saw enough that we Linda Thomas Greenfield, right? She was a former ambassador to Liberia under Barack Obama. Okay. And she's up there telling African leaders how stupid they are. Think out what that means. You got a woman. She's not the head of a state. She's not responsible for security. She's not responsible for feeding anybody, right? She can tell an African head of state, "You're stupid," basically. And like I said, all this is coming out. Africa, basically, the United States, basically, is playing Africa like a bunch of fools, right? And they're going to use African Americans. Guess where this summit was held? It wasn't held in an official government building. It wasn't held at the White House, which White House could have accommodated 49 African heads of state, right? If you bring 49 heads of state, and the heads of state, wouldn't it be a thing to have it at the U.S. State Department building, or the UN Homeland Security building, or the White House, or even Congress, right? It was held at the African American Historic Museum. What this tells you is that they basically are playing games with the continent of Africa. They're playing games, and I got people that I'm arguing with online talking about, "Oh, Kala, you don't understand the significance of this." This is just like when the African Union was formed. You got black people in America who believe that these people are forming something. They're going to benefit from it, right? When Joe Biden said the African diaspora, he's not talking about African Americans. He's talking about the Africans, white and black, whoever, who was born on the continent and live here in America and live outside of Africa. Charlize Theron, the actress, is an African diasporan. Patricia Hines Carey, whatever her name is, John Kerry's wife, is an African diasporan. You know, Elon Musk is an African diasporan. Okay, the idea of race in Africa does not think we're only race when we have no power and we have no influence. then you're seen as black or African. But when it comes down to power and it comes down to influence, and it comes down to money, it comes to geopolitics, suddenly the African American is divorced from Africa because it's not significant to them. Unless we're doing the bidding of the United States. The United States cares about its own interests in Africa. You saw now the Biden administration, even though Trump has scaled down military activity in the continent, everybody, oh, I hate Trump. But Trump was actually pulling people out of U.S. influence out of Africa. They pulled them out of the thing. And you had generals down there talking about, man, what is he doing? You know, they wanted to go into Zimbabwe. They wanted to go into Central Africa. They're all over the Sahara Desert, you know. And so this is what I'm talking about. And so Trump was pulling these people out. Trump said, look, let the Africans do what they want to do. Joe Biden comes in. This is why they had to get rid of Trump out of office. Joe Biden comes in, immediately we started seeing these predator drone activities again. Right now, the U.S. military and NATO is back in Somalia, okay? And that's why we have all this resistance. All this instability you see on the continent right now is because of the U.S. presence in there. The U.S. has no less than 24 bases throughout the continent, you know, in the Congo, in the regular Congo, in DR Congo, in Botswana, and all these countries right there. The United States has a military presence. The United States almost had a base in the middle of Ghana, which they almost had an agreement which they would be able to come in and out with not any checks or whatever like that. And the Ghanaians almost signed off on it, but it was social media we got a hold to it, right? And we rallied the Ghanaians, and this guy Adu, the president, said, no, we're not going to do that. For $25 million, they're about to basically let the United States build a base. And for what I'm hearing, my reports in Ghana, they are still building U.S. Military installation and everything, but it's not as pronounced. So the United States wants to be in Africa. They want to basically have carte blanche to go anywhere in the continent and everything, play their little military game. And you know what Africa's going to look like? It's going to look like Central America. Remember the United States during the 80s and everything like that? They're trying to set Africa up as a new playground for the Cold War between Russia and China, which they sit back and sell weapons, sell death weapons to Africans. We kill each other and everything like that. Nothing gets done, and all this kind of nonsense and everything. They control the resources. They control what goes on. Africa has a progress. If you want to know what's the end result of that, look at all the Nicaraguans who are coming across the U.S. border. That's 50 years of the United States intervention into the Central America through the CIA. The CIA has a program which they basically train military people and they put them on the ground in these countries, right, to do their bidding. Okay, I forgot what the name of the program is called. They basically train people to operate governments, to overthrow governments, military installations. That's what they do, and this is what they want in Africa. They say, wait a minute, but the mistake they're making is Africa is too vast and too big. And there's a growing number of Africans who have the Pan-African thought process, right? And the bottom line, this idea of America and America's image in Africa is not as good. This is why they're trying to use many Nigerians and everything to say, oh, the Nigerians are doing this, but Nigeria is a failed country. Nigerians are failing all over the world. So why would they be doing so great in America? It's because these people are deliberately brought here. You know, they take the best of the best out of Nigeria, which it should be in Nigeria. They come over here, put them in colleges, they say, look how great America is. Look how these African immigrants are doing so well. No, because they're getting help. They're getting friggin' money. You think any African can pay for $200,000 for an education? No. They put these people there. They pay for the education. They pay for the stuff. They build them up. They make sure they get jobs. They do all the stuff like that. just so they could basically discredit the whole Pan-African movement, which at the core is anti-American, anti-white supremacy, anti-racism, right? And it's pro-black and pro-black unity. So this conference right here, summit, was none of that. It was pro-American, America. There was no agenda on the table. The Chinese, when they had a summit last year, they have strategic things saying this is what we want. But China basically has more respect for African countries. America, Joe Biden didn't have anything. He doesn't know what goes on. You can ask him, but what about the? He doesn't have a list of vital, essential infrastructure projects Africa needs. Africa needs a Trans-Africa highway system. Was that discussed? No. Africa needs improvements to its education, to its logistics, and all these stuff like this. Africa has a net outflow of capital because Africa has no shipping line. Is the United States going to help with that? No. The United States, with all the roads and highways and infrastructure we have in America, why hasn't none of this ever translated to any partners in Africa? Why is African countries still struggling with basic infrastructure if the United States is supposed to be such a friend? The United States doesn't care about Africa. It's almost like it doesn't even have the will. Why? Because the whole idea of America is that the black race is not so human. It's okay to see people who don't look white suffering. That's natural. They'll go to a country and see people living in squalor and say that's the way it's supposed to be. They'll go there and they basically feel noble, will give a couple of charities, or have charity organizations, which they have a lot of them, right? But the people never rise above their misery and stuff like that. Whereas China or and these other countries who don't have that view of Africa, when you say the Kenyans tell them, well, we want a railway, and China's like, okay, we'll build it. The Turks helped build the railway in Tanzania. You look at East Africa is growing right now. Look at Rwanda. Look at all these countries, Tanzania, all these countries with these massive infrastructure projects, right? Because about why are they with the United States? Are they the United States? No. There are countries like Turkey, there are countries like China, Singapore, Taiwan, Korea, and all these countries. They're basically investing in Africa in infrastructure. India is another player in Africa, and so therefore these countries don't have the idea that the black race does not deserve infrastructure. And infrastructure is the best investment, because when people have the basics, electricity, running water, decent housing, healthcare, and everything, in a few years they're going to step it up, where they're going to be viable partners to purchase things like computers and semiconductors and stuff like that, power plants. Now Rwanda is looking into purchasing nuclear reactors to build its first nuclear power plant. This was the investment they made in Rwanda made in itself, So the United States, there was nothing on the table, right, that said anything that the United States has that thing. No talk about infrastructure. What is $55 billion, right? $55 billion for 54 countries. What is that supposed to do? And then also, it's not like every country is going to get $1 billion a piece. $55 billion over a 3-year period. That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing, And then what they want is, $55 billion, but you got to stop your ties with Russia. $55 billion is, well, we're going to tell you what your policy with China is. I think that's too much of a price to bear as far as Africa is concerned. But you got people out there, no, Kala, man, this is great for African Americans. No. And also, let me talk about something very, very serious, right? Now, this summit was had at the African American Historical Museum. And basically, they used African Americans' unique history. We are a people, okay? Just like you got the Igbos, the Yorubas, or the Kru tribe, the Fanti tribe, the Chantis. African Americans are a tribe. They're a nation, okay? And we have to start acting like that. More and more Africans are telling me, you guys got to stop letting people shit on your culture and use you when it's convenient. So it's an African American Historical Museum. Oh, yeah, look at the long history of America with Africa. Look at the stuff like that. No, these are African Americans. These aren't African immigrants that you see in the museum. And so therefore, how is African Americans included in this thing? To push U.S. policy? We historically have had our own relationship with Africa. There's sometimes that reconcile with the United States. Sometimes they conflicted with the United States. You know, I remember Randall Robinson of Trans-Africa, right? For the most part, when America did good in Africa, we supported it. You know, there were certain things about an American policy we supported, okay? We didn't like dictators. We didn't like female genital mutilation. We didn't like coups and stuff like that. So that part of the U.S. policy we supported. But now we reached to the point where there's going to be conflict between African Americans and our interests in Africa, and us building Afrikstan, building Africa, and us want to see Africa rise and everything with the United States. Now, where do we go? This is going to be very, very trying in the coming years. Are we Americans now? Or are we part of Africa? And so when we're about to take this dangerous journey, one thing we cannot have is Africans basically are wishy-washy. If we come out and support Africa, we're putting ourselves in very, very grave danger on the continent and here in America. Because for the most part, those who thought like this in our community have always been destroyed or discredited or character assassinated or ruined. And so therefore, in the future, right, we have to be certain, you know, countries that basically in Africa that don't give us the things we need and stuff like that on that level, you're not going to get our support. But what the United States government says, you know something, you don't need to worry about that Pan-African stuff, right? We got $55 billion. And these Negroes are up there, yeah, Master Biden, now I'm going to get my little bit of money and everything. Forget about what y'all were talking about. Forget about Kala. Forget about Bomani. You know, forget about all that stuff like that. We're going to basically like that, you know. Somebody said clear my nose. That's my nose hairs. Somebody trying to be funny. That's my nose hairs. I have long nose hairs. That's not boogers. You know. That's my nose hairs, folks. People trying to be funny. I have nose hairs. You know. No, it's not stuff in my nose. I have nose hairs. You know. Yeah, it's boogers, eyes, nose. When people don't like what you say, they try to friggin' discredit what you're saying. That's nose hairs. That's my nose hairs. My nose hairs stick out like that. You know, just the way it is. It's been like that my whole entire life, you know. When people don't like what you're saying, they try to, oh yeah, you got boogers sticking out of his nose, but try something else. Or try something. They try to, you got something to say I know. That's my freaking nose hairs, you know. Nothing sticking my nose. My freaking nose hairs. My nose hairs is like this. The reason why you have nose hairs, right? Is the nose hairs trap germs from coming into your nose and you're getting sick.
I guess they want you to shave it out to make them happy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna shave my nose hairs out. Sorry, you know. People are stupid, you know. That's what I said. We don't have people saying, you know something. Let me talk about what he's talking about. Who we talking about his nose hairs? That's what I said. This is why we're losing this war. This is why we're losing this battle. Because we don't have serious people in this movement. We have silly, childish idiots and morons running around this movement. They can't debate what you're saying. Nobody's ever going to get up here and try to debate me on any topic and win, because you know I'm unbeatable. You know, I'm invincible. Nobody can debate me. Nobody knows anything about geopolitics more than I do, for the most part, and come up here. So since they can't do that, they're gonna come up with insults and everything like that. You know, oh yeah, you got boogers on your nose. No, stupid. That's called nose hairs. You know, and so my nose hair is pronounced because my face is bright, whatever, you know, and my nose hair sticks out. That's the way it is. But you know, getting back to the topic of tonight's show is this. You saw when the lady said that the one part where she was saying that the United States have never taken that thing. I was really bothered because you know who sponsored that bill? That basically it was called the Russian Realliance, whatever like that, which against the UN, half the people countries staying in 17 countries were African countries, right? And so basically they sent their Negroes out there, Lyndon Thompson, Greenfield. They sent all their Negroes out there, and they basically said, you know something, you know how dare these African leaders abstain. Now, African countries are sovereign states. A sovereign state can vote for whoever they want to vote for, vote against it. That's what they have it for. If the United States says, you know something, Russia invades Ukraine, and we say, you know something, that's wrong, but we're not going to vote against Russia because it might damage our relationship with Russia. That's what you do when you have a sovereign state. It's not like having basically 50 states in the United States where you could force every state to do what you want to do because you have a constitution. There's no constitution binding any African country to the United States. So these sovereign states, as we call them sovereign, right? You recognize them as sovereign, right? So when they start, African countries start asserting their sovereignty and their independence, they're like, whoa, geez, I thought you have a long relationship with the British. I thought the French had these like that. They really think that. But these young Africans are freaking waking up. You know what I'm saying? What the hell do we care about what the French think? What the hell do we care about the British thing? What the hell do we care about what the United States think? South Africa didn't even come to the summit. They're part of BRIC. So these countries, like basically, you got sanctions on Zimbabwe, which is unjust. Now, what could have happened was Biden could have said, you know something? You know, if we were all united as a race, could have said, you know something? If you side with us, we're going to lift those sanctions up against Zimbabwe and then give all the money, let's say $20 billion for all the money is lost, whatever like that, help Zimbabwe on an aid package, right? That would have said, you know something, that might be considerate. But they didn't do that. Obama extended the sanctions on Zimbabwe. Now, Zimbabwe is producing millionaires. Even under sanctions, they're producing millionaires. You know who they're selling their stuff to? China. China is basically going in doing mining, gold, diamonds, and all kinds of things. China is basically investing in tobacco crops and everything. And Zimbabwe is making it. Even under U.S. brutal, racist U.S. sanctions, Zimbabwe is basically still thriving. They produce millionaires. You don't see these people and black people in South Africa. The black people in South Africa are too lazy to step to the white people for their land back. And so therefore, they're like, oh, what we do? We don't want to end up like Zimbabwe. Well, Zimbabwe had to suffer a little bit, the Zimbabwe had to suffer, but now they basically seem like they're pulling through in spite of the sanctions. So what this tells me is that the idea of white supremacy and the white man, he's not invincible. He's very vulnerable. All you have to do is stand up and stand up and stand up like men and women and fight back. There's no, Mugabe once said, look, I don't want anything out of England. I'm not asking for English land. I'm saying leave my land alone. The British don't get that, Oh, yeah, well, the British, we don't want you here. Get the hell out, white man. That's what Mugabe in Zimbabwe is saying. Get the hell out. We don't want you in our country. Go home. Get the hell out. You came here. You slaughtered us. You took our land away. We want you gone. We don't want to negotiate. Go home. Leave us alone. And so, therefore, this is what we're talking about tonight, right? It's like a changing of the guard. I'm glad to see the Africans on the ground get it. But the African heads of state showed up there, 49 of them. And I believe the only way they went there because there was I think there's a line screw between the U.S. and African Americans. I don't think the Africans understand, right, that when we talk about Africa, we're coming there and everything, we're not representing the United States government. Are you, Bomani?
No, Kala, no, not at all. Representing my people, my brothers and sisters.
Right. We represent what we call the African American nation, the Black nation of America. That's who we represent. That's why that is so important. That more and more now, we have to basically raise a red, black, and green flag and let you know there is an African American nation, there's a Black nation here in America. And so therefore, that's the relationship Africa should have. The United States should basically be dealing with the African American community, the Pan-African community in America. Now, here's a problem. A lot of our Pan-African folks don't know geopolitics. They don't know stuff until it's too late. And I've been saying all this for years that we need to be on the stage. That's why we created the Black African Infrastructure Organization, because we said this is what we want. This is what we believe in, right? We understand that we're a minority group in America. So we're saying that we want land in Africa. We want recognition that we are part of Africa, and we want to build with Africa and everything like that. It does not mean that we give up our U.S. citizenship right away, but it's just saying that historically we have every right to have our own relationship with our mother continent, however we see fit. And we understand that white America have their own relationship with Africa, which they think should supersede us. For example, you saw that video with a fat white guy in Tanzania saying African Americans shouldn't come to Africa. They want Africa all to itself. In the 70s, you had all these white Americans living in Nigeria and Port Harcourt. What do you think those white Americans were doing? They were basically spreading poison about us in Nigeria. Anywhere white Americans go in Africa, right? They always get with the locals. And they make it seem like, oh, these white people are so great. They give us this, they give us that right there. And they basically show the worst side of us to our brothers and sisters in Africa. So therefore, like I said, we cannot basically go by groups like the organizations like the Peace Corps. Peace Corps is an arm of the CIA. Okay, it's a spy agency for the CIA, and all these other World, UNICEF, and all these other places like that. These are basically arms of white supremacy. The television, the radio thing, Voice of America, right, which get free programming, help build radio stations throughout post-colonial Africa. They were spreading U.S. propaganda in Africa. That don't worry about these people like Malcolm X and all these other people in America and everything like that. The United States government got your back, okay? With the CBC, don't tell me, yo, brother, you just did not just say the Congressional Black Caucus, the Congressional Black Caucus. The whole night, I forgot all about them. They're a freaking joke. The Congressional Black Caucus is a thing. We're going to talk about that, right? The Congressional Black Caucus, right? Anybody who's talking about LGBTQ rights, feminism, climate change, all stuff like this, their agenda is the white Marxist, communist, or whatever leftist agenda is. There's no Congressional Black Caucus, there's no relation. There's no body of government that represents African Americans. That's why we created the BAIO. We want to be that governing body that represents African Americans to Africa. That's why we're trying to grow the BAIO and Africa for Africans, We want to be that thing. Why? Because we want to be like this. All our investment groups, all our everything, that travel groups, everything like that under one united front, saying, look, this is who we are. We want to get in our communities on a local level, right? We got our sister city project, unite all our Black areas that we have political power in it and everything, and say this is what you basically are up against, right? The Congressional Black Caucus does not represent African Americans in Africa. That is a lie. There's nothing that ever came out of it. Show me one thing that ever came out of the Congressional Black Caucus that advanced Pan-Africanism or building Africa. They basically sign off to whoever is the Democrat or whoever is in power says. If you basically ask the Congressional, what's your voting record? Well, we don't really have no Black people in the Senate, right? The Senate is the one who imposed sanctions, right? There's sanctions on Zimbabwe. We could have said, Congressional Black Caucus said, we're going to abstain from voting, right? We're not going to make sure no vote passed on anything in the House. We're not going to bring it to the floor. We're not going to stay from voting until those sanctions are pushed up Zimbabwe. They didn't do that.
Yeah, that makes too much sense, man.
Yeah, and also, let's talk about another issue, right? The Congressional Black Caucus, right, are chosen by the DNC, who are like that. Remember they got rid of Kwame and Tume, Kwesi Mfume. They got rid of him because he was too radical. If you're not doing their bidding with the Democrats and National Democrats, the Clintons and all these other people, they have no use for you. So effectively, we don't really have Black America, 45 million of us, really have no political representation on the federal level because these Democrats that they put in front of us are chosen by them. Raphael Warnock, he's not going to do anything for Black people down there. He's going to do what Chuck Schumer tells him to do in the Senate. You said, what about Herschel Walker? Same thing, Herschel Walker. Both of them are going to do what they say do. I understand that's the way the Senate is, that the Senate doesn't really reflect the people and everything. But you think Raphael Warnock say, you know something, Chuck? You know I got to think about how powerful Raphael Warnock is. He could basically, since the Democrats and the Republicans almost tied in the Senate, right? He could say, you know something, man? It seems like I got a lot of power here. Why don't we basically say put a resolution uplifting those sanctions on Zimbabwe? You think that will ever happen? No. Because Raphael Warnock is happy to have a job. He's getting free food, transportation, and he's living all the perks of being a U.S. Senator. This is what we have. So please don't tell me about, the Black America and whatnot. They said that we have no political power in America because we do not want it. We do not want political power in America. Raphael Warnock could be in a position of saying, you know something, U.S. policy towards Africa, why are we giving $80 billion to Ukraine and which they're wasting, but yet with no strings attached, they can do whatever they want with the money. They were spending it wherever. $80 billion U.S. taxpayer dollars go to Ukraine. Billions are going to Afghanistan. The United States left $800 million worth of equipment in Afghanistan. They waste money all over the world. But when it comes to Africa, they want a nickel and dime, penny pinch and everything. And they want everything from Africa. They want the soul of Africa. They want to sell you their soul, and they want to give you drops in the bucket. $55 billion over 3 years, man. Get the hell out of here with that shit. So that's what I'm talking about. With that, you want to open up the lines, Brother Bomani? See what people got to say?
Line is open, brother. Line is open. Links are posted. All that good stuff.
Yeah, people want to come up and discuss this.
We can break down the other part of our subject. And that's the thing we're talking about, family. Casualties of Pan-Africanism.
We're going to talk about that, too. We're going to talk about that. That's the thing.
Basically, what I was saying is that since you talked about the summit, and we talk about all these countries in line with President Biden. What I'm saying to people is these are the casualties of nation building.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be whether they choose a side or they continue just to work in their own interest with Russia, China, and so on. Who knows what will happen? But it's like this is where we are right now, and this is these are the casualties. So I don't know how this thing is really going to play out, but you just see the puppet, the puppet master that's pulling strings and working his magic. They know they're losing against that connection in Africa, so they're trying to.
My whole thing is this: whether China or Russia China, Russia, or the United States win, that doesn't mean anything for us.
Our people are being played by different sides.
Yeah, they're getting played, right? They're getting played. And the only people benefiting from this thing is the leaders up on top, because they get to go to these nice summits and everything like that. They get free food, money which they basically put in their own pockets and everything. They might get some vanity projects and everything. So to the people, the mass of people aren't benefiting this, because let me say something, right? Here's the problem in what you see in the Black race in Africa, right? We act so intimidated by people who call themselves leaders. A Black man could get up there, talk loud, talk everything, and everybody, oh yeah, we just bow to them and whatnot. The guy could be a freaking complete buffoon or idiot, and then nobody challenges him and everything. A person like President Biya, we don't even know if this guy's alive. He's still president of Cameroon. The country basically, I look at some of these Cameroon brothers like, yeah, it's time for a change. You think it said Cameroon's going to mess. We need somebody else. The guy is in Switzerland most of the year. You think so? I don't even begrudge George Weah for being away from Liberia for 2 months, right? Because that's what it is. They don't have any responsibility. Because Africans basically think that I listened to this one guy today. This guy that was basically talking about humanitarian socialists, not communists, right? I forgot the guy's name. But he was a writer back in the 1950s, right? And Cornel West, he was Cornel West's inspiration, right? And he was basically saying he said being moral in an immoral society. Okay, when your society is so immoral, right, and you're moral, right, sometimes violence is justified. Okay, and that's what Jerry Rawlings did in Ghana. Okay, some people say, well, Ghana was elected government, but the country was so corrupt, they were stealing left and right, that he basically took the military and straightened the country out. That's why you have Ghana is what it is today because of Jerry Rawlings, General Jerry Rawlings. He put the country on the right path, right? Because people think because they have democracy and they have this stuff like that, and this is what happens when people become so wicked, right? And also when your guy that you like is in power, right? And you got he's able to get big crowds out there and intimidate the masses of people into submission because he got his thugs and goons and everybody's praise singing him. Nobody wants to step out of line. Nobody in the black world wants to be a spectacle. Nobody wants to be that one to say, something, this ain't right. Nobody wants to be rounded up and shot and killed. Nobody wants to be basically ostracized and in exile and everything. This is what happens when we don't have a culture and a civilization that allows dissent, that allows better angels and stuff to prevail and everything. That we get so wrapped up in so-called leader and all this other stuff like this that we let it happen. And the white man, he knows that. The white man knows that. The white man knows that all he has to do is bring any one of these African leaders. Like, let me give an example. George Weah took a picture with Biden, right? And basically he was like, high five. I don't know what the hell, right? But Liberians like, man, this is kind of embarrassing, right? He's a president. These are two presidents. It's supposed to be like this. And George Weah looked like his son, like the way they was interacting with each other, right? This is supposed to be a head of state. And then you know what the people like George Weah said? Man, he met with Biden. He's getting reelected. Just because your president sat and talked to a white man, Joe Biden, that means that no matter whatever say, he's going to bring that to the election. He's going to show pictures of him shaking hands with Biden as a campaign thing. I talked to Joe Biden. This is the mentality of the black man.
That's it, brother. So these are the casualties, brother. These are literally the casualties when we're not practicing our culture to build our own nation and build an Afrikstan. So break it down.
Okay, so what we say about Africa, we talk about a black state. When we talk about Afrikstan, we talk about a black African state. Okay, that means from top to bottom, the infrastructure, everything is run by us,
including the investments.
Investments, everything,
main thing, because
everything, the supply chains, everything is run by us.
Biden is buying out all of Africa. Everybody got a fresh. On average, everybody should get at least a fresh 1 billion, right?
Yeah.
Everybody getting bought off.
Hey, but I don't think it's gonna. I think Africans. I don't really think they know Africans are stupid, right? They figure, okay, let's say if they get that big from Biden, they realize that Trump is going to come back to office, right? And that's going to be, that's what they're doing. So they're going to play Biden. This was done hastily. Remember something. This was done hastily at the last minute. Oh, we got to bring Africa in before the year's out because what's going on? Why?
The lady did mention that they were supposed to do it in October. Now it ended up being December.
You know why? Because what they reinvested did? The Trans-Pacific Partnership, what Trump got rid of, right? The Trans-Pacific Partnership basically giving China and Asia an edge in the Pacific. Trump got rid of it. We're pulling out of that. Trump pulled out of the Paris Accords, everything. Notice how they kept saying in the interview, oh, the challenge of Africa, climate change. How come no one's ever said like this? Any African leader said, look, what does climate change have to do with us? What the climate? They said in 2050, we want to bring the world's temperature down by 0.5 percentage points. So Africa's supposed to underdevelop and starve, right? And not develop because the world, they want to bring the temperature down, maybe the global temperature by 0.5% in like 50 years or something like that. And so people don't realize that climate change used to be called global warming. Okay. Then when they found out the world wasn't actually warming, right? It was actually cooling. And they said, oh, it's climate change. Well, the climate is changing. We're in the fall, about to go into winter. Doesn't the climate change like that? 1 minute's a fall, one's a winter. Yeah, climate does change. So when they say climate change, what is the definition of climate change? You know, what is the definition of climate? They can't define what is climate change. So since the Paris Accords and all these other people happened, the Europeans basically use climate change as a way to deny Africa loans for credit, for development, for industrialization. So if climate change, if you really concerned about climate change, wouldn't you basically say Africa should be invested in nuclear energy? Nuclear energy is the cleanest form of energy there is. Shouldn't Africa be investing in geothermal energy? The truth is, they don't want Africa to have energy. They don't want Africa to build. They don't want Africa to develop. You know, what the official policy since the Kissinger as Secretary of State in Africa has been population reduction. In 1994, we had the World Population Conference in Cairo, Egypt. That's when I started sewing things. I started seeing things. I started saying, wait a minute here, right? At everything I've known about industrialization up to that point and building and everything, then I said, wait a minute, the world is not overpopulated. The world is actually underpopulated. The world is moving towards cities. You could build, they have prototype cities where they could build whole cities to hold millions of people in there and give everybody a high standard of living, everything, right? All the amenities of modern life and everything. And don't use any barely use cars or anything like that. But those prototype cities are basically put on the back burner. I studied permaculture years ago, right? Permaculture, I saw the state of Israel planted almost 500 million trees. They greened the Negev desert, right? There's Libya built aqueducts underneath the Sahara Desert to green the Sahara Desert. But all these things are hidden from sight. All the people like this, there's alternative science, right? That don't get any money, you know, that you don't like that. So you got the world convinced that, climate change, everything. It's a lie. It's a farce. The bottom line is this: Prince William, Meghan Markle said, the biggest threat to African conservation is the African population. They can say stuff like this out in the open. They want genocide. Bill and Melinda Gates said, Africa is going to be devastated for COVID. We're going to lose millions of people. Africa had the least amount of COVID deaths. They said, what the hell happened? So they're in the lab right now in Wuhan or whatever, coming up with another virus that's going to really do the job. While you out there laughing and dancing and everything, they're plotting your death and your destruction. They want you off this planet. They do not want the black race to succeed. Because of the black race to see, you know, it's not like when Asians, they're like, okay, if we have to deal with Chinese, okay, we can deal with Chinese everything. They don't want to live in a world where black race have military, economic power. Because they know their world will come to an end. So it's like this. Right now, we have a whole continent of Africa. There's no trade between Black Africa and Black America on any large scale, right? Most of the goods that are in Africa come from outside of Africa. We don't have any shipping lines that go to the ports and export. We export nothing out of Africa. Yes, we do. We export oil. No, we don't. Foreign companies come in and take the oil out, right, and give us whatever they think it's worth at the time on an exchange market, right? And that's it. We don't export the oil. We don't own the tankers and everything. We don't show up at the ports and dump the oil in Port Nicole. We don't refine it overseas, you know. The pipeline right now that they're trying to stop from Uganda to Tanzania will be a game changer. That'll be the first major Black African infrastructure project, right, that we control. And so what was the difference between that and Nigeria? The difference is that we, as the Black Africans, are going to control it. And it's not going to be for export. It's going to be when we produce oil, there's hundreds of projects that multiply from that. Petrochemicals, okay, paint, you know, industrial products, all the stuff like this. And when you have those products, right, that attracts investments, right, to your country. Okay, you can produce petrochemicals. Okay, I got a factory that makes this. We're going to like this. That's capital gains. It's added capital and industrialization to your area. That's what they're trying to do. Natural gas. There's dozens of projects made out of natural gas. And also brings down the price of electricity and energy, which makes energy, when energy is abundant and everything like that, investments will come because there's plenty of energy. People got energy, industry got energy, business got energy and everything like that. It makes it conducive for investment. And so therefore, and then the excess, right? We basically export the excess natural gas and oil, whatever, to a foreign market, and we can compete just like Russia does. You got Europe by the balls. But under the guise of climate change, this all got to stop. But not, look what they're doing. You're ruining the thing. They don't give a damn about Africa. So why are they bringing this climate change and environmental stuff up now? Because the bottom line is Europe knows it's on its way out. It has an aging population. African population, let's say half the population under the age of 30. You got all these young African minds and everything like that. They want a better standard of living. So something has to give. And so therefore, let's see China and Russia and India as alternatives to the West, these BRIC countries as an alternative to the West. And it's been going on for 10 years. Now it's starting to say, well, geez, man, we got nothing in Africa. What's going on, man? You know, Biden, what's going on after? So they basically say, okay, you know, he got with some stupid African Americans over there. Yeah, we can invite all these heads of state, have an African American historical museum, you know, and everything like that. The whole friggin' coon relationship that black people have with the white man. Don't need these people anymore. You know, America's time has passed. You know, America's time has passed. We don't really need them anymore. You know, so this is what we're talking about. So we're basically rocking it. Now the Afrikstan. The reason why we talk about tonight, we're talking about the Afrikstan is this: we're having issues in certain countries in Africa, like mine. We're talking about the Sabo community in Ghana. Okay, from what I'm reading and some reports I'm getting is that the original owners of Sabo want the land back. Okay, as simple as that. They want the land back. You know, they've been on their land for since 2014, something like that. 2015, whatever it was.
No, it's recent, at least 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
No,
so,
yeah, we don't have to put their business out there. You can.
Yeah, about 2018. I mean, 2000. I think I'm going way back. 2018. A lot of the Sabo people were affiliated with the Black African Infrastructure Organization and Bomani's Africans, but they went out there and these young guys, they went out there and did it on their own. They found some land and they're going to develop it and everything like that. It's a noble cause, and I ain't got to fault them for that, for going out there on their own. They thought we were just taking too long with the Afrikstan stuff, so they're just going to go out there and create a land of their own and everything. But, you know, noble cause and everything. But now the people decide, basically, what I'm hearing now from my brother Kobe, that he says, you know something? It's almost like they waited for us to develop the land and put all stuff like that, and now they want it back. And they used the money we gave them like that because they got lawyers and everything. They want the land.
Yeah, wow, that's sad stuff, man.
Yeah, so I'm saying like this: when we talk about building Afrikstan, do you think in a million years we're going to build something and somebody's going to be able to take it back? No, it don't work like that. You know. So we talk about an Afrikstan. We're talking about a geopolitical entity.
Yeah, and what you just talked about a little while ago is part of Casualties I talk about.
Yeah, you know, so it is what it is. A geopolitical entity that basically says, okay, don't tread on me. Okay, this is not separatism from the local people. It's just establishing an entity that says that we could take care of ourselves, we could govern ourselves, we could do all this stuff like that, and we could provide services and become consumers of the local economy. Because if you build the Afrikstan, where do you think most of our goods and services will come from? The local people. So it's a win-win situation. But what we cannot have is people talking about, you know, okay, well, you know, we're going to renege on it, stuff like that. No, once the land is secured and we raise our flag, we're going to be able to protect that, you know. So we can't risk wealth if people will keep it. Yeah, the whole thing is you have to have some sort of force. Now, here's the thing. Here's a question, a conundrum. if we're over there making trouble for the United States, right? Don't you think the United States, and we're spreading all this anti-American stuff while over there, or just staying neutral, which I suggest, stay neutral, whatever, stay neutral for the time being, and basically don't say anything, whatever, like that, inflammatory towards the United States, whatever, like that. The United States will leave us alone. That'll buy us time to build ourselves up. But we go over there, and I think that's what happened in Sable. They're up there. Yeah, we're in Africa. You understand, the United States can get to you is probably easier in Africa than they can in the United States. It don't take much. It don't take much for them to walk around and be like, hey, there's $100 here, $100 here. Tell me what's going on over there. And what I've heard, I got some evidence that there was a CIA guy that infiltrated Sable. I don't know what it is. I was blown away while I was here, so I can't remember everything I heard, but that part I did hear.
Well, just give us an overview, brother. Give us an overview so we are clear.
Yeah. So basically,
CIA guy, that makes it more interesting.
Yeah, it's I think the guy was just asking questions. I don't think anything ever came out of it. The guy was a CIA guy just asking questions. I think it was linked to that first guy, the other property, linked to that the one guy with the dreads, light-skinned guy with the dreads, everything like that. But I don't know the whole thing, so I'm not going to put it all out there. So I have to get more clear, because I didn't ask a whole lot of questions. But yeah, they are watching these movements in Africa. Okay, they are watching these movements, these repatriation movements in Africa. For the most part, I don't think they're any sort of a threat. Because for the most part, the repatriation community hasn't engaged in politics. They haven't really got on went to parliament, as I know. And I don't think the repatriation movement is tied to the old '60s version of radical black people and everything. These younger guys who are not tied to the radical people of the '60s and '70s. And stuff like that, Stokely Carmichael and stuff like that. So, but basically, they're watching, and I don't think as long as countries like Ghana and everything like that maintain good relationship with America and everything. So this goes to show you, there's limits on what we can do, right? Because these countries have relationships with the United States. So we can't just go over there and say whatever we want to say. That's why we have to build the Afrikstan. And build it quietly, okay, and just be deliberate with it, okay, building the infrastructure and stuff like that. So therefore, one day when we have these places throughout the continent, it's just a natural order of things. And I don't know how American culture will basically receive this, because American culture, basically, you saw this now, African Americans are defined by the 50 states of America. There's not one CNN program or a mainstream program has ever covered the repatriation movement that I know of. There was one that went to Ghana. Remember the sister, that sister, what's her name? Sister Nana that owns that thing. She was on CNN with what's that guy's name? The gray hair, Anderson Cooper. You remember that back in 2000?
That's One Africa in Elmina.
Huh? I mean, remember that?
Yes, that's One Africa in Elmina. That's Sister Amicus.
Amicus, yeah, she was like, she moved there, but that was the only time, and that was just that one situation. But they have not talked about the, you would think something like the Bag family would be news, right? No. You would think even all the antics going on in the Gambia would make news, right? No. They're basically ignoring this movement, right? Because hopefully it'll go away. What this tells you is like this, they won't even call out bluff, because it's too dangerous. You have African Americans basically influencing what African policy is, and so therefore they're going to try to basically make sure this stuff is sidelined and dismissed. And no mention of this was at the so-called summit. Well, we got people building communities in Ghana. We got people living in Tanzania. You think that was talked about? No. What about the African Americans that have been in South Africa since apartheid? doing major things. The only thing we saw was that Blacks Without Borders. Do you think that was covered? No. Doesn't even get covered on the mainstream black. We don't even have mainstream black, but it's not. So the bottom line is this: the way the Western media is, right, is that we have this one version of Africa, which is Black African civilization, and they have the other thing, which Africa is their little safari. And so when we talk about Africa, right, I want to know what type of Negro are you? Are you a safari Negro? You know, with like the white man see Africa as some safari, or do you want to talk about building civilization? And that's what the Afrikstan is all about. Building civilization, you know, settling and building on the continent, building industries. Why? Because this is an alternative reality to America. And so therefore there has not, in the political discourse of America, you know, no matter what we go through, there's never an alternative to America. You know, we just have to take whatever we get, and it's what it is. And so, like I said, people ask me the question about reparations. Reparations just means continuing a relationship with white people in white America that's going nowhere. You know, they want us to focus on reparations because they want us to focus on them. That's why when they talk about aid packet and everything like that, it's all, anytime the white man does not give you anything unless he's going to get $1 million return on it, you know? Yeah, Chris. Yeah, brother. Call in, Chris. Call in tonight, man. Call in. African leaders don't care about African America. They don't. You know, we have our own desires and everything like that. You know, until we basically come there and something like we have. The thing is, now the countries like South Africa, that got a well-developed financial system, right? You can justify, let's say, the Philadelphia Employees Pension Fund, right, to invest in South Africa because it has a credit rating, it has all the mechanisms in place to facilitate a long-term thing. South Africa is a developed country. Unfortunately, most countries in Africa are not developed to that point where we could do stuff like that. But South Africa is one country right there, maybe Botswana, Rwanda in the future. So we do basically in America sit on pension boards and stuff like that. Pension funds, state employee pension funds, stuff like that, loan billions and billions of dollars to countries and treasury bonds and stuff like that around the world. And we sit on these boards, you know, in these cities. So let's not act like we don't have any power. We just don't have the mind. There was a pension funds of Chicago employee pension funds that built Las Vegas. It was the New York State employee pension funds that built Sony Records and the movie industries. That's what they do. They give out long-term loans that can be secured and paid back. So therefore, like I said, union pension funds, state board pension funds, 401ks, investments and everything, Roth IRAs and everything, all the stuff like that people put in foreign assets and stuff like that. We sit on a lot of these things in America. They're to the trillions of dollars. We're not powerless people. We're just people who are misdirected. Now, when we start bringing that sort of power to the continent, then they'll be interested. But usually the people that's brokering those things are white guys. They see white men coming with okay, you want to build that road, let's sign a deal, that's $50 million. You know, courtesy of the U.S. government. Courtesy of this organization, this, that, and the other thing. It's never us. So until we start graduate to that point in our culture, it's never going to change. It's never going to change. So it's never going to change. We have to get to that point. We have to get to that point And like I said, we have to start, the Pan-African world has to start getting serious about getting together and being on the page with each other. Having a united front of ideas. The best place to do it is join our social network, right? Where we can connect and build together and have discussions and stuff like that together. That's the best way to do it. Because people are like, damn, man, how's this happen? Why didn't we even see this summit coming? Where's our fearless Pan-African leader out there? Where's he at? Well, he's out there talking about Deion Sanders and Kanye and everything. The people with the
gotcha. So that's the leader of the Pan-African movement.
Yeah, that's the leader of the Pan-African movement.
You talking about the so-called prince?
The Prince of Pan-Africanism. Yeah. Where's the stuff he's talking? Oh, now he'll talk about it a couple of days from now. He'll say, "Oh, everybody's talking about this, so let me jump on this." He'll see the same thing, hear the same thing. And so this is what we're talking about. Nobody's freaking organized. No one's taking this movement seriously, and basically the power. Like I said, we were not kidding years ago when we created the Black African Infrastructure Organization. We understand the world's growing and everything, and this idea of Black nationhood and Black power is real. And people didn't want to take this stuff seriously, and now they're like this. How is it that they come to America and we're left out of this, and they're doing this at the so-called African American Historic Museum? The African American Historic Museum, not even a government official building, right? And you got these 49 African heads of state, with no agenda whatsoever. China, can you put that picture I sent you up, Bomani?
Absolutely. Appreciate you, brother Mufasa. Appreciate
always a supporter. Always a supporter for years, man. Bro's been with me for years, bro. The guy's a real supporter, So this is the difference between China and the United States. China has basically invested, the goodwill on the continent. So say what you want about China. We know we got problems. You got the Chinese take advantage. Sometimes we kick them out, whatever like that. But compared to the United States, they have done way more as far as engage in the continent. It's like America has. It doesn't even basically. Yeah, Kyle, this is why you need an educational spot on the internet to teach geopolitics. I'm really basically considering that. I don't know how to do it. I really don't want to do YouTube, right? But I definitely want to get on the internet and basically be that person to talk about geopolitics and stuff like this, because we don't know. Well, look at this. From 2000 to 2020, China has built, check this out, 13,000 kilometers of highway. That's 7,000 miles of roads. 100,000 kilometers of, that's railways, railways. 100,000 kilometers of highways, right? Highways, right? That's almost 60,000 miles of roads. 1,000 bridges, 100 ports, 80 large-scale power facilities, 130 medical facilities, 45 sports venues, 170 schools. Now, I can't tell you what America did, because America hasn't done anything in all those years. This is what we're talking about. So we can't basically talk about China taking on. That's what the white man wants to do. China cannot take over Africa. It wants what it wants out of there. It wants the resources, whatever it wants, the resources and everything. We have to be strategic to say, you know something, we're going to develop our own industries and everything for it. You can't fault China for doing a business. We need those railways built, right? We need those highways built. We need those bridges built. We need those ports built. What we have to do is have a skills transfer, right? Can you imagine if the Ghanaians, the Nigerians, whoever, and the African Americans are forming construction groups and corporations, sucking up that skill, knowledge, and everything over the last 20 years? Where would we be right now? we'd be way further ahead if we had that. But we didn't do that. We cannot always be in a situation where other people are doing something. We have to basically build, and we have to integrate Black America. We have the Black colleges, right? We have Black colleges, We have the people in America, right? We have to turn towards Pan-Africanism. Has our leaders in the Congressional Black Caucus, as Brother was talking about, have they talked about anything as far as African Americans? No, because simple fact is, nobody. One of the things is we don't have enough strong Black men in political office in America. We just don't. We have people who are politicians. Politicians are basically people who take the politics of the day and just do whatever. We don't have leaders. When we did have Pan-African leaders and everything, and people who are nationalists and nation builders and business, stuff like this, and we're all on one page behind these people, right? Then basically say, look, we tie our votes into Pan-African policy. Then we do something. But now we're all sidetracked. Okay, what are you going to do for Black folks? We're doing for Black folks, right? And I suggested the Pan-African. Oh, that's not going to help Black people. That's going to help Africans. Now we see how we were broadside. You got Jason Black talking about, this is an attempt. Now they're trying to say this summit is an attempt to steer reparations to Africa instead of Africa. This divisive stuff, that's coming next, folks. Be prepared for it in the next couple of days. The African American Summit, which did really nothing, right, is an attempt to take old reparations you're never going to get, and give it to Africans. That's the divisive stuff coming from the AOS FBA people next. What this shows me is that these people in our culture, right, and the AOS FBA people, they're going to do what they're going to do. But as the Pan-Africanist thing, you go out there and vote. What is your policy when it comes to things? You live in the United States. The United States has a policy with Africa. You call yourself a Pan-Africanist, right? What is it? What is on the table that you want to see passed? I said at the top of the show, I want to see those sanctions lifted against Zimbabwe. That's how you get my vote. Nobody talked about that. So you don't get my vote. What if we had a list of things? There's sanctions against Zimbabwe, right? And let's say we work with African partners and everything like that. Okay, this is what we need. Skill transfer is necessary, but you could force skills transfer. You can force it. You can force skills transfer. Yeah. Professor, Professor, he's a military integrationist, Professional Black Truth is a military integrationist. He talks like all this Black men, but he really wants to be American. He wants to be white. That's all Professional Black Truth is, But he's a military integrationist, like you said.
These guys are all up to something. They never show their face. Nobody know who they are, what they do, what they're part of. And I mean, it just can't just be that simple where you just feel like you can reach out to us as a people and represent us and talk to us, and then we don't know who you are, or even just like the other ones who just literally just feel like they just need to talk down to us and feel like they just are our leader and tell us what to do. I'm just tired of all of this foolishness, all these people. If you're really about what you're about, show your face and let us know what you're about. It's kind of like these clowns that come on this program and we've ran all of them off. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, if you're really about that business of life, I mean, people like, oh, well, I can't show my face because they're going to send the CIA after me and they're going to send these people after me. And, and it's like, no one is thinking about you. You have done nothing.
Right.
You have a raggedy ass YouTube channel and you just literally just running your mouth.
You know what they're really scared of?
Scientists, and you do this, you that, and Black people be weird. Don't do this, don't do this. It's like I'm telling people, stop following these clowns. If you don't see people putting their life on the line, you don't see people committed every day of their life to what they're talking about doing, don't waste your time with them. You know, and that's how I operate in life. I tell people that deal with me, I say I get up every day and I live this life. If you talk about building Black Pan-African community, getting us to Africa, or us just getting into professional business and working on professional organization, we out here doing it. Do we have our flaws, our faults, and our struggles? Absolutely, because we're out here as a real person, real people doing it. So these guys that you talk about, man, no one ever see how any of them look. Jason Black, Professor Black Truth, all these clowns. I mean, the only one big enough to show their faces is the King Kong of consciousness.
Yeah, Omar. Yeah, but the thing is, I think he's on some other. He's trying to be a celebrity. You know, he's trying to be. He's trying to go mainstream.
I give it to him. At least he shows his face and let people know.
Yeah, I give him that part. I give him that part.
But the other ones, I can never get it. And I was like, why do people support these people? I was like, you can't even meet them. You know what I'm saying? People like myself, you can meet us in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, really to know who we are. You can say what's up.
Join our social network, man. I'll communicate with you. You know what I'm saying?
You see me at the airport, you can say what's up to me. I mean, we're cool people and we're about our people. I'm always looking to connect, network with people, especially if we're about like working together on things. Now, I'm a very quiet person, but when it's time to work on things, we're working on things. And I can't talk so much stuff because there's so much talkers out there, and I don't want to say too much a lot of times. I just want to show the work. But yeah, them two guys that it showed JB and who's JB?
Jason Black.
Are these clowns the same people?
I swear to God, I know they're the same person, man. Professor Black Truth and Jason Black are the same fucking person, man. You know, ain't telling me nothing. They sound just alike, you know.
I'm trying to put a bass in his voice, you know, like he's some, you know, like he narrating a film or something.
Fellow fans, so it's like he's talking to a bunch of white people, you know, fellow fans and soldiers. Hey, nigga, we ain't got no goddamn power when that. And he has not embraced Pan-Africanism. Like the answer is basically, if you believe America is individually racist, right? Why aren't you forgive these people screaming over to our side? You know, if you really believe that, you know,
they're gonna talk that talk and live in the comfort of America without working on anything.
I hate that people talk all that talk and live in the comfort of America.
So, family, we don't have time for spectators, man. You know, in order for you to make change, in order for you to win, you got to get in the game. You can't win if you're not playing in the game.
And the fact that we were blindsided by this meeting, this summit meeting, because notice how the mainstream media didn't talk about it, right? What we found out about online, you know, now everybody's talking about it, right? Democracy.
Yeah, you mentioned a few people, it's been popular.
Right now, get this. You turn on CNN. Did they talk about it? No. Why? Because wait a minute. Let's say if they said next week there's gonna be a rally with African leaders. What they feared was, I'm gonna tell you a funny story. It's funny. What they feared was Negroes showing up. Oh man, you know. I remember when. Do you remember when Nelson Mandela came to the United States in 1990?
Yes.
Remember that? Everybody, Nelson Mandela, right? But they made sure he had one real rally with black people. That was at Yankee Stadium. Remember that? That was they said, okay, we'll give you one rally with black people at Yankee Stadium, right? And the rest of them, they ushered him to Ted Koppel. They ushered him here, whatnot. And next thing you know, they put him on play. He was gone, you know? And then the next time he came to America, right? It said, Nelson Mandela's America. The media didn't cover it whatsoever. They was like, damn, man. Last time he was almost an uprising. They had so many black people out there. Remember he was walking that bulletproof thing, and him and Winnie, that bulletproof carriage over there like that. Black people uprising. I'm African. They're like, we can't have this shit, you know. So Africa and Pan-Africanism has always been a problem to the American discourse, and they made sure, right, when every time they showed Mandela like this, they had a picture of the American flag. Even when they showed black people, right, they will only show the black people in newspapers holding the American flag. You know, I saw that many years ago in the optics and whatnot. You know, what does the American flag have to do with fucking Nelson Mandela? We're celebrating Nelson Mandela. All they kept showing was somebody in the background. They made sure they put the cut of the one Negro with the American flag in his hand. They made sure that made the freaking paper. You know, they knew what the hell they were doing. They call, you know, Dr. and many of we never mentioned Dr. Kumar in Ghana because he lives. Yo, I love Dr. Combo. You know, now Dr. Combo, man, is that bro is black to the 10,000th power. You know, when you see Dr. Combo, man, it's like, yo, man, goddamn, man, goddamn,
you gotta give it to the brother. The brother, I mean, that's one thing I could say directly about the brother. He walks the walk and talk the talk.
I love that guy. That's a real Pan-Africanist, you know.
He lived the life that he talks
and
about.
I'm not saying Umar is not a Pan-Africanist, right? But
no, but we have to give respect to the people who actually
you gotta give respect to the people that's doing it,
what they're saying they're doing, and actually live it like every day. That's their life.
He's living on the continent and living there.
People, if you're gonna talk about this stuff about Black Power, nation building, revolution, Pan-Africanism, nationhood, let that be about your life, because these things are about living a certain life, you know, being in that culture, you know, living in, not just doing, accomplishing. I mean,
accomplish it. What he's able to accomplish on the continent, and there he got a beautiful wife and family. Got a wife that he's with and everything, a family. He's living in Ghana and whatnot, you know, doing this thing, man. You know,
that's the people we respect. I mean, not these people who, you know, like, you know.
People say like this, man, that brother right there has my deepest respect. I love that, bro. I can't wait to meet him, you know. And so that brother has my deepest respect, Dr. Campbell, man. I consider him a teacher, you know. Respect. There's people that I elevate and I respect, you know. So he's one of them, you know. He's one of the ones that, you know, that really I learned a lot from, you know, over the years and everything. Even though we're the same age, we're peers and everything, I still learned a lot from him, you know, a lot. You know, so we you know, the people that's doing stuff, we have to basically, the whole thing is, like I said, we have social media. Everybody's getting information from social media. So the people with the platforms and everything like that, they don't feel like they have a responsibility. We should have been we as Black people, as the people that call themselves Pan-African, right, should be on a page. Okay, this is coming up, right? What do we think about this? What do we think about this? We should be on a page so we can get on code, right? I got people out here telling me, Kala, man, you know, this summit, man, you don't say, you're negative about everything. You're just people telling me, Kala, you're just mad because you wasn't invited, you know? What the hell? Yeah, I'm like, what the hell do I want to go and listen to this bumbling idiot, Joe Biden, you know? I don't mean to knock anybody with dementia, but the president of the United States, man, is sitting there, can't stumble over dementia. Yeah, what the hell do I basically want to be in a conference with this? So they can beg for scraps, you know? It's a begging, it's humiliation. How you gonna have he could have said the ambassadors for 49 countries. Why do you have the heads of states of countries, you know? Just lecture them about Russia and all stuff like this. Well, whatever, you know, think about it. You bring 49 heads of states for no agenda. You didn't say 49.
If there was ever a setup, man, that's a straight setup.
And I'm saying to myself, yo, look, just like at the Queen's funeral, right? They packed all the African heads of state in fucking coach buses. You know, that was just what more humiliation do we have to endure as a race? You know.
Hey, remember the video we played earlier? The lady was, the lady was, you know, she was trying to break it down as best as she can, but that's exactly what she was explaining. That, you know, it's like it's something that they're trying to use the African governments, because literally, I mean, just be real. You just put the chart up there, you know, and she when she talked about there's been a consistent conference over the last 22 years between China and Africa, you know. So America is just, I guess they're looking at them losing the game. I mean,
they want to use African Americans. That's why they had it at the use us.
Exactly, brother. It's, I mean, and she also explained that these people, they know what they're doing. They're tactical warriors. They just, I mean, they you know, they know they can't compete with China, so They got to come up with something else. So it's gonna be interesting how this play out. But the only thing is that our people got to make sure that they get the best deal out of the situation, because other than that, they're just gonna be used in a it's kind of like playing chess, and you know, and you're just a pawn, and you're in a game greater than you.
Right, and the whole thing is this: we as the diaspora, and then I'm gonna talk about something, right? If by now, you don't see how vulnerable we are on a global scale. Are you going to tell me in Afrikstan, us building our own communities and state on the African continent is not the ideal? You know what I'm saying? Where we have diplomatic power, diplomatic stuff like that, where basically, the diaspora, who is the Afrikstan? We represent the African diaspora of slave descendants, you know, because we're not represented in America. We're not represented. Don't tell me about the Congressional Black Caucus, you know. Don't tell me about all these other people like that. Don't tell me about Raphael Warnock. We have no political. Think about this: 45 million people with no political voice on a global scale.
Hey, basically stepchildren to a higher nation.
I don't want to be a stepchild anymore. This is what I'm trying to tell you, Negroes. It's time for us. Everybody, look, Deion Sanders, that's not important. You know, we are basically going to freaking live and die with no fucking government, no land of our own. The soul, let me tell you about the soul of Black folks, right? The soul of a nation, right? Every nation has a soul. And throughout our history, right, some Black organizations, churches are able to be the harness of the soul of the nation, right? The African Methodist Episcopal Church once held our community down as the soul of the church, right? The Nation of Islam was once a soul. You know, a few other people was a soul. You know, when you walk in that thing, it's these are my people. This is Black people. You know what I'm saying? Right now, a nation, right, a people, right, have a soul. And when people like America became a people, they had a soul. So they went to what? They said, look, we got to part ways with who? The British. Because this idea of America has to be born. Okay? When you are a soul, you have to be given a body. Body is your nation, your land, whatever you dwell in. And you have to basically be born and become your own thing. So you telling me that every time I look on the thing, white racism, we are just doomed to just suffer racism and all that. Every time I look around a Karen video, some guy the other day was trying to deliver some food, and some white lady said, "I don't want you in the building," whatever, like that, you know. And he was so nice about it because I would have smacked her right in the head, you know. Like, I just want you in our building, you know. All these things I keep seeing on social media, and we just accept this as normal, and it's killing our soul. Your soul desires to be free. Your soul desires a land of your own. Your soul desires a government of your own. Your soul desires a flag of your own. Your soul desires a woman of your own. Your soul desires children of your own. Your soul desires schools, education. Your soul desires your narrative to be told to the world, you know, uncompromising. It's not cool, it's not right for a group of people to sit and be subjugated by the same people that enslaved them. People don't really understand that. The soul, where's our soul at? You know, you can't drink your life away. You can't smoke your life away. You cannot party your life away. It's time to have our own nation. That's justice. That's fair. That's what's right. We have to have a nation of our own. There's no compromise. There's no backpedaling. Because you people tell me people could come in our name, right? Try to host African leaders at an African American summit. And, oh yeah, man, the African American community like this. You didn't build nothing. That didn't, the African leaders coming here, that didn't do nothing for us. You didn't connect with the African American community because they're saying that we're property of America. America's sovereignty comes first. Joe Biden is the daddy. Now he's probably gonna tell the African leader, if you don't like me, you ain't African. You know, he's probably gonna tell him that. If you don't like me, you ain't African. Just like Joe Biden told you won't like me, you ain't Black. They own us.
Yeah, if you don't vote for me, you're not Black. I love it.
They own us. You know? Bro said, wife, children, flag of my own. Yeah, but you gotta have a land to put it on. You gotta have land to put that on. The flag means nothing without the land. You have land to put that on, and land to protect it. You know, that's what happened with Sabo. You know, he took the land away. But that won't happen to us at the Black Star Pan-African community. I guarantee you that's never going to happen.
We do professional work.
And we're going to fight for it, too.
We're the best, best of what we do. I mean, underground operation. It's a lot of people want to operate and do business in Africa, and that's cool. I mean, we've been pushing this thing about connecting Africa for coming up on 2 decades as far as repatriation, and I know people want to do certain things, but me and Kala would tell you, man, we don't take shortcuts. We put our work in. So when you build that nation, see the keyword developing and maintaining. You develop it and you maintain it. Yeah?
Security, all that stuff like that. Governance.
If you throw something up, that's not proper developing, and then you're not going to be able to maintain it. It's going to collapse, and that's what you see happening in a lot of these movements. That's why you see some of these people, they come out, for a few years and they're the top talk and they big name. You know what I mean? While people like myself, all I've been doing, brother, is cruising. You know what I'm saying? Cruising. You ever heard the big, you ever heard the big names? Like one time you heard about that guy, the guy that had that big group of militias. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Grandmaster J, whatever.
Yeah, and I'm not saying anything bad about anybody specifically or anything. I'm just saying that what we see in the movement is we see a lot of people come and go. But then we don't give respect to the people who have stand the test of time. The stand the test of time in this kind of business, family, it's no joke. That means you're who you are, because this thing will wear you out.
They'll test you
out and take you to challenges that you have never seen in your life. Challenges with your own brothers and sisters that you're supposed to be close with, and things like that. And then when the smoke is clear and you're still standing, you're the truth. But I see these people, like at one point, as a matter of fact, at one point, maybe about 10, 12 years ago, you heard about Umar Johnson, and he was like a big talk at one point. And, but then now you have to evaluate the situation with the accomplishment part, and you can get right into, your Pan-African report card with these things, because literally, after a while, if you have been talking so much and so long, you have to have a product. You have to have some level of accomplishment. Other than that, it's you can't. And then if you're gonna talk that talk and turn around and judge everybody else,
right?
That's not really.
That's the problem. That's the problem I have. The problem I have is that people will say, "Oh yeah, judge other people, judge other somebody what they're doing." But we ask them, "What have you accomplished?" Accomplishment. And it's all right to critique people, but when you say, "I'm gonna give Deion Sanders deserve 50,000 lashes," and also like that, and
you talking about lashes. I mean, that's not like some joke stuff. I mean, our ancestors get lashed.
Yeah. So and also you talk about taking away his black card and all this kind of stuff like this. That's genocide talk.
I mean, did homies really say that?
He said that. Yeah.
I mean, I can only listen to so much of that stuff because, after a while, it's like.
And the bottom line is this. When people start talking like that, right? I don't think they think in their head, right? Everybody thinks that you talk to other black men. You will never hear anybody say that about a white man. You will never see somebody say, let's say, somebody like 50 Cent who be running through white girls left and right, or Dr. Dre. Remember Dr. Dre gave $30 million to a white college, not a black college? Oh, you'll never hear him talk about guys like that. Why? Because those guys roll with thugs and gangsters and murderers and killers. So Deion Sanders is a freaking easy target, it's an easy target, Deion Sanders, I can talk about him. But you're not going to talk about 50 Cent. You're not going to talk about some of these other guys, that these guys got guys that roll the streets. They even Jigga, Jay-Z. Don't let those freaking him hanging around with white folks fool you. That nigga got murderers on his payroll, These guys got murderers on his payroll, trust me, And so I've seen how Rockefeller, I've seen them. I met with some of them dudes, man. They roll with some some rough dudes, man,
Brother, once again, man, you don't stand the test of time unless you're about that life.
Yeah. So you choose your battles very carefully. Deion Sanders, okay, he's a football player, whatever like that, whatever, Hall of Fame, whatever, But the real problem is you really want to talk about fucking people selling out. talked about Puff Daddy. It's all these motherfuckers that sell us out.
That's character. Yeah, it's always funny when you talk about people like him, and it's like, when you build like when you build like a dynasty, your reflection of your dynasty is the people who you made rich and successful. If everybody like kind of like, their career kind of went to hell and
Mace is not happy. Mace is not happy. Fuck Diddy. Mace is fucking coming out like, fuck Diddy. I ain't getting shit, man. But Diddy won't sell him his masters and shit like that. Diddy's like, well, give the nigga his masters. Let him make some money, man. Give him his publishing, man. Nah, he got offered him $2 million, and he's like, nope. Diddy wants it all, man. You think Diddy's gonna do anything to mess up that billionaire status?
No, brother, it's raping you records, man. Like the Locks put up, they're raping you records. And it's unfortunate that we live in that society where, it's like each one is like exploiting the next one. Like each one teach one and uplifting and building, like we're talking about. And we see these things in these major industries, and that's the issue that we have. Is like, okay, how are we gonna truly come up when everybody's about this themselves and how I can exploit, take advantage of the next set of people?
Yeah, check this out. I was working down at Teddy Riley's studio, Virginia Beach, back in. You remember Teddy Riley had the studio right there?
Absolutely, back in
Boulevard.
Back in the 90s.
Back, he had the studio right by the IHOPs, right? That's where I got stabbed, almost killed in the IHOPs right there, You talking
about the same IHOP on Virginia Beach Boulevard, that famous one? Once you leave from the club, everybody go there?
Yeah, the IHOP. I used to work there, man. I used to work there. Later, I got stabbed, almost got killed in that shit, man.
I can imagine that place would be, because it's in a busy area, but wow. You kick somebody out of the club and they saw you later on.
They all come up there, all the thugs, gangsters, everybody shootouts in there. That was a day. I worked the night shift, man. You got heart when you work at IHOPs, at the graveyard shift. Because the ladies be coming in the morning like, okay, 7:00, everybody going. They call it, yeah, it's clear. You can come in now. Betsy, as they come in, okay, it's good. Yeah, the thugs gone. But I used to work
back in the club days.
Club days. Teddy Riley Studios right next door, and I'll be honest with you, man. Teddy, Chauncey, and all these clowns and whatnot. I used to. All right, I'll say it like this, right? I learned something with them, man. Them motherfuckers, right? Those type of people, Teddy Riley and these fucking goons he have coming down from Harlem and shit like that. They don't give a flying fuck about black people. They're black, but they're Teddy Riley. I was like, my boy Low. We used to be out there training martial arts and everything like that. And somehow some chick that was fucking Teddy Riley didn't like Low, and she got him fired. I said, man, that's some fucking. I thought that was about Million Man March days and whatnot, Black Unity and whatnot. And I said, man, these people are cutthroat, man. And then my boy had to explain to me and say, yo, man, this is a thug world. This is a wicked thug world. They don't care about all that stuff you talk about, black people and everything. They don't give a fuck about that, But they don't give a fuck about that. And that's what I'm seeing now. And I'm seeing it on a larger scale when it comes to business and everything. We has never been a real successful Pan-African spirited business that's in America that's multimillionaire, because everything's about cutthroat and like that, and like I saw it on the Teddy Riley studio. It said, so why you fire that dude, man? What did he do? We fired that nigga. He said, just because you're black and you got a little bit of power, they want to take that power out on other black people, and I saw it, man, for myself. And I was like, shit, black people got power and whatnot. They're not thinking about, they don't think on the same level as people who don't got power, like, oh yeah, black unity and everything, until you get power. That's the ultimate test, is when people get power. When people get power, everything, you see how they act. 57 laws of 48 laws of power. And he loves demonstrating that his power, he don't give a shit about nobody but himself. And that's the power. So how do we navigate that in the Pan? Because if sooner or later the Pan-African world is going to have to produce power. We're going to have to produce millionaires and billionaires. How do we do that? The only way you could do that is by having a nation of your own.
Yeah, brother. Much rhetoric,
without a nation of your own. I looked at Japanese, Mitsubishi. I studied Mitsubishi. How did Mitsubishi grow to be a big thing? They built a whole fraternity. Look at the Japanese system, right? When you're in your own land, in your own society, right? You could build your own economic base. Mitsubishi basically was a clan, a trading clan for hundreds of years. In the modern world, they became a corporation, Mitsubishi Corporation, right? But the trading clans, like the from the lowest level of merchants to peddlers to middle managers and warehouses and manufacturers, all became part of the Mitsubishi family conglomerate, you know? And these people were retrained, given jobs and opportunity to make products, sell products to the main corporation, cross director, management, and stuff like that. They went to school, and this whole big giant conglomerate that controlled Japan was called Mitsubishi. Then you had other clans: Hitachi, Sumitomo, Matsuhita, Mitsui. All these other clans that controlled the Japanese economy, that ran the banks and the shipping companies and all stuff like this. How was all that possible? It was only possible because they had what? A land of their own and a government, you know, that basically forced oversight that. They had rules and regulations and laws, you know? And so the culture worked well because they had a government. The black man in America, you're never going to get to that next level until we have a government of our own, you know? Yeah, white supremacists love the thug life because of uniform set. Yeah, these motherfuckers, they love the thug life. Why do you think you'll see all the people that go from internet to mainstream? You'll never see someone like Angry Man get up on the they invite Angry Man. You think they invite Angry Man onto a mainstream platform? No. They don't want to hear what that nigga got to say.
Probably
you know?
not. Probably
they don't
not.
want to hear what somebody like Angry Man got to say. No, they don't want to hear that shit, you know? they always like the goofy nonsense, everything. Snoop Dogg, he's always on every award show, red carpet. That's who they love. You know?
I mean, think about who's on platform when we talk about Pan-Africanism. There's only one person that we see on platform. You know, that's it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And then outside, well, no, we see Umar Johnson, and then outside of him, we see this entertainers.
And also, and then let's say Umar.
But we don't see nobody really.
Let's say Umar, when he does get on the Breakfast Club, right? Does he say, look, we want to build in Africa? I got another brother, Bomani, that I know. He gave you a shout out one time. You know, he knows who you are. Did he ever say, I got brother Bomani who does tours, everything? That's what we're trying to do. Did he ever mention that? No. You know, did he ever mention that? No. Did he ever mention anything to do with the Pan-African movement that's going on the ground in Africa? You know, did he mention names and everything? You know, why he got the opportunity? No.
What I hear is this critical analysis and just talking about what people are
not
doing,
about how fucked up,
what people are not doing, and what people should be doing, and
what everybody should be doing. Blah blah blah. But he never talks about what people are doing.
It's never about, you know, I connected with this group, and we're working together to do this for our people. It's never about that. But you know, but then again, you know, that's what we're about. You know, we're about working together with other groups of people so we can get things done. And as I was telling you, man, it's only 24 hours in a day, so you know, there's a lot of things that, you know, we really want to get done, but we just got to build a stronger team of people that work in interest of what we're working together on, not like, you know, people coming together just to push the agenda, which is usually what we run into, you know, which is a sad situation in family. It does slow us down. So I'm always telling people that if you see what we're about, you see what we're about already. So if you're gonna connect and join with us, be about that life, not about your own, you know, your own weird agenda, because we're not gonna go for it. Just like our brother was trying to push the reparation agenda.
Yeah.
And we know we're gonna just be honest with you. Like, well, do you see our movement? Does it say anything about these things? Absolutely. So that's because we're not about those things. Like, I'm always like, sometimes I send you videos like, brother, is this really what Pan-Africanism is about? And it's usually some video about us, you know, some of us who call ourselves Pan-African leaders, and then we're talking about Kyrie, we're talking about Kanye West, talking about Deion Sanders. Is like, is that what people who are about Pan-Africanism and nation building?
Black women, black versus black male shit. You know,
and I don't like to use these words, but these are rich black Negro problems. I mean, let's use that, you know, since I'm trying to make sure my language is clean.
The fucking the NBA players going out with snow bunnies. That's I don't got.
These are not grassroots operation. I mean, when you talk about Pan-Africanism, you know, it's a foundation of grassroots, of, you know, literally just putting together something more organic. You know, it's not about sitting around judging people like Charles Barkley and whatever white women they're with. I mean, these guys on a different level.
These guys got $300 million.
And at the same time too, it is, man. And and all of us should know this, by now. If you have one of them corporate jobs and you work for these people, it's what it is. You got
circles.
Well, and I give it to some of them at times. They may say some positive and say some good stuff, but very limited. But it's nothing that
check out Charles Barkley is giving $1 million to Jackson University. And somebody said that ain't enough. That ain't enough. Yeah, he just gave $1 million of his money. And he talking about
his money, and there you go. People pocket watching and things. But it's like, but what I'm saying is like some some of the brothers may do some good stuff, say some good stuff, and do so much. But it's like someone like Umar Johnson can't expect them to cross their boundaries because I'm saying it's a master slave relationship.
Let me speak on that. See, it's not about them crossing the boundary. He just basically feels that he knows how he's always attacking people, black men that are more successful than him, because Umar, his ego, he thinks he should be up there making that money and stuff like that. So basically, what they do is, you ain't doing nothing for black people. They always use black people as like this trope, like, oh, you ain't doing nothing for black people and everything. Like that.
And I'm sure most of them are doing a lot more than a lot of
they let on and whatnot.
Also, Pan-Africanists.
And then he basically said something about LeBron dude said, and he said, well, when LeBron built the school, $40 million, he donated at least $60 million to black causes, Black Lives Matter. That ain't enough. 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 So $60 million ain't enough for you, So it's not about that. It's about him. Basically, he has this image of him being the king of consciousness and all stuff like that, and he wants to be all this like that, but he hasn't accomplished anything to deserve that. Let me tell you something about what accomplishment means. Jerry Falwell, successful preacher, right? He created Liberty University to give back, right? You have the Carnegie Institute, right? Rockefeller Foundation. When you have foundations, that means you lived your life, you created and everything, and you want to give back. It's your testament to your life work. Let's say Robert Smith, right? He gave $40 million to Morehouse graduates, right? For their graduation, right? Graduate to president. That's a testament to his life. I gave, I'm gonna give back. Okay? And then what people do is they say, I'm gonna build an institute because I want to create a bunch of Robert Smiths. I want people to be more like me. I want to inspire people, right? When you're so arrogant, you're going to create an academy just on the fact that you're a YouTube celebrity. That's the ultimate freaking arrogance. And then use your so-called school. We need the school. No, how do you know we need the school? We need that school because he figures what he does, he takes all the worst elements of black youth, right? The ones that screwed up and everything, so like that, right? But he never has a program thing saying, I'm gonna take some of these good boys that's doing right. I have this one sister that I work with, right here, and she works at the bank, my bank, right? And she said, look, I donated money to her organization, right? And I connected her with the BAO. I want to get with her. It was a couple of years ago. I was going through some shit, so I couldn't really do much. But she says, look, I have a bunch of young black boys, and I got like 14 of them, right? And she basically buys them clothes. She takes them out of projects, housing projects. She buys them clothes, everything like that, and she teaches them banking, business, and real estate. And these boys got their flipped their first property. She said they're gonna be doing real estate transactions when they get to college. There's all kinds of people doing stuff like that all over the United States on a level. She's a sister. She says it's important that we do get our young boys. I love this sister. I said, sis, let me know how I can help. I'm gonna get back with her. I got to get back with her. Because I was like this. I said I wanted, like these boys, I wanted to teach them the insurance business. And so basically she said, yeah, this is what we do, and we I teach them like that, and the boys all well dressed and everything. And while they're going to school, they keep their grades up. And so by the time they go into college and everything like that, they're going to be doing real estate, doing $1 million transactions and whatnot. I said, that's the program. And she wants to take her program nationwide. And she gave me her calendar. They had a calendar of her organization. I forgot the name of it. But the thing is, though, there are people who are doing that. They're seeing the need and they're getting in the community. All over America, you got black people doing a lot of work. and showing accomplishments and showing things and everything like that. That's what I showcase. But at the same time, while she's doing that, she's saying, since I did this with these boys, I'm gonna get up there and say somebody ain't shit. Somebody like that. I'm gonna run my mouth right now, you know? That's the problem. People use the fact that they are doing something to attack somebody who accomplished it. You know, and that's the problem with our culture. Everybody wants about, I'm doing something. We want a fucking a biscuit for fucking education for what you call it. Where I said Yale is hosting youth issues campaign tour in all 15 counties. Hey Ross, Sister Claire Kala Kula is in Liberia right now. She's in Cape Mount. She was in Cape Mount yesterday, and she brought an African American tour to Liberia. You know, African American tour group to Liberia youth. You know, Ross, you should get a hold of her. You know, I'll see if I can get her information to you. You know, but she's in Liberia, and we're gonna be working together. You know, but that's what we do. People do small stuff. They make like I said, when you look at that video, these young people saying, "Yeah, man, I did not know we had a country like this over there." That's good. These young people are gonna transfer Liberia into a power. That's what we do, bit by bit. The stuff we can do, you know. If the celebrities don't want to help us, the celebrities don't want to get involved, that's them. You got to create a citadel. If we was able to create this Pan-African citadel and hope and peace, they'll be dying. I want to be part of that. Because look at the state of Israel, right? Jewish people, how rich they are, they get humble when they go to their homeland. Everybody else can go to their homeland and enjoy and everything. That's more important to them than all the money in the world. So these celebrities with all these millions of dollars and whatnot, you know, I'm sure they would love to. Look at Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey's in South Africa. You know, he brought his game show to South Africa. You know, he brought his game show to South Africa. There's a lot of people doing stuff. What's his name? Terrence Howard. He's in Uganda. You know,
but yeah, and but then when you ask one person, you know, what about these people? They always got something smart to say. So I'm like, you know,
so instead of saying, yeah, man, this is what we got going on this, I give people credit when they make an effort. Akon, you know, whatever you're doing, I give you credit for it. You know, you're building a Pan-African link. You know, I give you credit for that.
But then the first people are gonna say, it says, well, the Chinese is backing them and the Chinese is doing that. I mean, it's just like
it's no win for it, people.
I mean, brother, can you ever win?
Yeah, you can't ever win with black people.
They got next thing that's what people are gonna be saying about people like myself. They're gonna like, no, Bomani, you should have waited another 5 years, man. Now you're doing business with these other people. So, you know, I'm like, yo, we're gonna get this money. We're gonna get this money the way we need to get it, and we're gonna invest it in black people, black enterprises.
So if Chinese say they're gonna build a railway station in Jagazi, we're either gonna say, you know something, we can't do that. Let's try. No, we're gonna try to get as much back. We're gonna try to get.
You're gonna get the sweetest deal because you're gonna have to make the sweetest deal. And so people are gonna be like, well, they should have did this, and that's what I'm saying about, you know, the people that I mentioned a little while ago when we talk about Jason Black, Professor Black. It's like all these people just talking like they got all the answers, but I was like, it's not that simple. It's like you go out there and do a development project. You go out there and organize black people. I mean, you go out there and try to work with a bunch of people to get things done, and you see the nightmare and how difficult it is to get things done. So it's like, you know, like you mentioned, man, talking, doing, and accomplishing all those things, all different worlds, all different levels. And the level where we're at right now, family, is we're looking for business investors to build the things that we're looking to build in Africa. And if we have to work with certain other people, we're just gonna make sure that we get the sweetest deal to where we can represent our people, because you're gonna have to make deals with other nations of people, other groups of people, to a point where I tell people is keep your economy black and strong. Right. Like, you know, you're not gonna have a bunch of other people all in our community and things like that. It's just not going down. But it's like you realize that you can do certain things, but you have to, you know, just like you mentioned about some CIA guy showing up and things like that. You know, we have to make sure that we know what we're doing and play our cards right, because people are out there, and you know they're playing a full game of chess on us,
And they're playing with us, you know.
Liberia just, you know, with some of us are just not ready to just come to the deal table. But for now, the best thing for us to do is just put our energy together and build what we need to build. But it's like, if I can't get enough of us to be about certain things, you know, it's what it is. So Akon, I don't know his situation, but it's like that's the thing that I always hear people talk about. They're just like talking down to the man because the man have Chinese investors. Well, Bomani's gonna have other investors, and Bomani's gonna say, you know what? I've been trying to get some of us involved in this, and you sit down and you talk to people, and people like, yo, I like what you guys are doing. It's very positive. And you know what they tell you at the end of the day, brother? Keep doing what you're doing.
Good. Best of luck to you, man.
Brother, I'm being honest with you. I've sit down and you talk to people that are a lot more successful than you, and you know they actually show you level of respect and say, you know, I've been through it and things like that. And they're just telling you that you need to make it through the storm, you know. But it's like, you know, so I'm telling people the help that you're looking for may not come. So try to be about your business. So I think that's what Akon went and did. He went and just got him some partners that can just handle what needs to be handled, take care of that part of it. And you know, I look forward to seeing that city and look forward to even checking it out when we're in Senegal one of these days. So
see what happens. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's better than doing nothing.
We all have to use different moves. You know, we all have to come up with different tactics. It's just like you know, when Omar was you know, pushing his movement for his school, he used the different tactics to, you know, as far as his curriculum and things that he's doing. You know, so that's very unique. And other people, you know, so I'm telling people, use your method at work as long as it works. You know, so we can see some accomplishments. Let me let our brother in. Hey, greetings, brother. Welcome to the call, brother Ross.
What's going on, brother?
Ross,
what's going on, bro? What's going on, Ross?
What's going on, brother Colin?
What's going on, brother? How's things on like
Bomani, how you doing?
Yes, brother. Keeping it strong.
What happened to him?
Connection must have lost, unfortunately. So we'll see if he gets back on. Yeah, but yeah, so I'm just saying to folks, man, it's an interesting situation where, you know, you're just out here in this world, and as soon as you get out here and you're in the game and you're out here, you know, making moves, you got nothing but spectators out there, and everyone always, you know. And the thing that's always funny to me, when I sit down and listen to people, I let people talk, you know, that type of person, and they sit down there and they tell you how to run your business, how you're gonna get rich, how you're gonna get successful. And then you look at them and you're just trying to figure, like, why are they not this example of all these things? And you tell people, like, no, you didn't get this far by just, you know, sitting around and playing games. You got this far by working hard. But it's like, even with working hard and putting the work in, it's only so much you're gonna, you know, so far you're gonna get until you build a team of people who are really down with the movement that we say they are. There's so many people have joined forces, connected with me over the years, and say they're down with the work. And as soon as, you know, they start seeing that it's work, it's sacrifice, the next thing, I'm gonna go live somewhere else, I'm gonna go do this, something is going on in my family, you know, and you know, or people who come and talk all the talk. And you know, like, one thing about us, I'll give you my time. If we need to meet, we'll meet. If you need to come see our land, if you need to connect with us. So, you know, we have met people and like, okay, we give you all of our time, and then now you act like, you know, you can't communicate back with us. And like, people straight up just waste their time and use their time. Just like some people don't know anything about going to Africa, so they get with us and learn everything they need to learn. And next thing you know, they're gonna go building a Sable. Yeah. As a matter of fact, that's a true story, true to life story. Right. So now it's funny because whatever's going on there, you know, they're gonna have to look back at themselves and say, you know what, the brother Bomani was real with us up front, and we chose to do what we wanted to do. I mean, I'm telling people,
the thing is,
expertise and the professionals in this. This is not amateur business. People like myself will put the time into this work. You know what I mean? So I'm telling people, even stop going to where they're chasing popular people, or people are so-called, or people who think that they're popular on YouTube, because some of them, just because they have 100,000 subscribers or 200,000 subscribers, they've hit the mantle of anything. And they think they just up there. And then so they feel like they're some kind of black leader now because they think they're popular on YouTube. So now they think that they can just lead people. And you know, it's a dangerous business, brother. It's a dangerous business because
you're messing with people's lives, you know.
yeah, I really want to see some of these people get out there and try to organize people and get something accomplished. And let's see that, because it's so many people talking like it's easy. Oh, hey, oh, you did this. Oh, that ain't nothing. Well, if it ain't nothing, you and everybody else do it. Let's see the success of it. Dealing with our people and building Black organization and actually taking it to a level where you can get some things done. It's, not too many of us survive this. I mean, just like I talked earlier, how many people, brother, you have seen come and go? Like we talk about the guy with the militia, he's gone, and a bunch of them gone.
Yeah, people come and go, man. I've seen it all the time over the years, man. People just, yeah, man, where you at, man? They're back working at the supermarket. Yeah, that whole movement. Yeah, I was in it one night. They got hyped up, and then next thing they just fizzle out. They don't have a long-term plan. We tell you, this is long-term. And we're making progress, man. We're making progress, man. We have this community in Ghana. We're gonna build them in Liberia. And this is our guy Ross, man. This is my BAO chapter head in Liberia. This brother, man.
I hope you can talk and we can hear you.
My brother Sam Cooper told me, man. He said, "Thank you for introducing me to Ross, man. This guy is on point. His young brother is on point as far as this stuff, man. What's up, Ross?"
Good morning. How y'all doing, man? It's about 6:36 over here.
Yeah, you up early.
All right, God bless. Hey, yo, good morning. Thumbs up, hats off, man. Thank you for all the hard work. God bless you.
Yes, brother. We're building that energy to come to Liberia, so we know we're gonna get it popping and get it going. So that's
Mr. McCullough, thank you for the narrative, man. Thank you for the narrative. Okay.
Yeah.
Sister,
it's
gonna go a long way to.
Sister Clarice is in Liberia right now. I don't know if you can meet with her. She's the one that
Kula.
Yeah, you know her.
Dr. Kula.
Yeah.
I talked to her.
Okay, good.
There's two of them Kulas. I met the other one too. That's about education. She's an educator. There's another one that's an educator. She's really doing a great job out here. Kula Thompson.
Yeah, and like I said, we're gonna basically, when I get there, hopefully we'll be able to build an office. When I get there in February, we build an office, and I want to have a place to showcase people, spread the BAO name, and get these young people involved and stuff like that. We're gonna do a lot of stuff, man. So we gotta make Liberia.
For sure.
We gotta make Liberia a place where we're doing
quite a few people are already back from the diaspora making a contribution. There's a Dr. John Henderson. He's been out there in the U.S. as a civil rights activist. He started the Economic National Underprivileged Foundation in America, but he's here now, and he started a whole nother youth empowerment organization to get youth businesses started targeting people between the ages of 18 and 38. So I'm with him. He's got me on his board, and I've been up all night trying to get sponsorship letters out. We got this 15 county tour coming up next year, starting in January. We're gonna run for about the first quarter of the year. We're gonna go to all 15 counties. It's more about a national consciousness revolution, trying to get people in the right mind state so that, with the programs that the rest of y'all are trying to initiate, there will be a lot more cohesion.
Yeah. We're gonna make Liberia's gonna be that country, bro. That's gonna spread to Angola, the Congo. Like our ancestors envisioned, Liberia's gonna be the beachhead where we're gonna connect the whole continent together, the diaspora.
God willing, definitely. The Lux and Tenebris. It was like that, and it's amazing how this country, with all the mysteries involved and everything, but it has to have mysteries involved because actually this country was founded by the providence of God, not just man's ingenuity. So, everything, it's like God has a purpose and a plan and everything for this country, and we just got to align with his will and everything else be done. It's like
we got a line with that internet Wi-Fi over there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it might just be out.
Yeah, actually, to tell you the truth, man, when I was in Liberia, man, I did shows with Dynas one night. I never had that Wi-Fi. I don't know which one he's using, man, but that shit was strong, man. Well, he's probably using the data. you know.
It
But
depends on you might have been in a good location in a good hotel.
I had the Wi-Fi box like in the hotel and the house I was staying at, and that was perfect, right? But when I was in using the data card, right? When I was using the data card, sometimes I would have problems and everything. But for the most part, man, that Wi-Fi in Liberia was stronger than I think. Maybe because there's not a lot of people on it, you know, at one given time. But that Wi-Fi was better than the Wi-Fi I have in the United States, man. I'm like, shit, man, I never had no buffering or nothing. I was like, damn, you know. But the data, when you use a data card, whatever like that, you know, it's all right and everything goes out sometimes. But that Wi-Fi, that Lone Star Wi-Fi is freaking good, man, you know. Well, but yeah, that's Ross. That's my guy in Liberia, be a Black African Infrastructure Liberia chapter. And like I said, people talk about doing, we're not doing, we're accomplishing. And the business people we're putting together, investments and everything. You know, it ain't a bunch of talking, man. This is accomplishing. You know, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we ain't gonna be on YouTube no more. We're gonna be there doing the shit. You know, leaving all these suckers in the dust. You know, we'll be leaving all these suckers in the dust. You know. I was hoping that is Ross. Yeah, you go.
Ross, go ahead.
Brother Bomani, how you doing?
Yes, brother, continue back on.
I like the focus, brother. I like the focus, brother. God bless you. You know, I agree with you 100. Like, all this talk about stuff like reparation don't make no sense when we supposed to be focused on our own economic development. That's a distraction. So yeah, I respect how y'all handle that situation. God bless.
Yeah, I was just basically letting the brother know that my focus is to work on.
Make no disrespect to nobody. If that's what somebody else wants to focus on, that's them. But I think it's a distraction.
Yeah, and you know, my view and my flow of what we're doing, that's what we explain to him. If he looks on any of our website and any of the things that any of us do, me or Kala, there's nothing talking about reparations. And not saying that it's not a subject to talk about. It's just trying to push a movement to where you can focus on the actual, Pan-African nation.
Things like that boil down to things like that boils down to international politics and feeds on negative energy ain't worth our time, especially when it's about shit that goes back 400 fucking years ago. It don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
What matters now is that we take all the best managerial practices and the best technologies in the world, and we transfer all that stuff to the continent and to the Afro-Caribbean regions and strengthen our socioeconomic basis. That's all we need to do. We need to stay focused on our agenda.
Absolutely, brother. With you on that, and that's why I let people know when we come on here, we right to the point. You can get a big banner at the top: Pan-Africanism towards nationhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just telling the Henderson the same thing the other day in the board meeting. I say, look, we can't even be political. We have to be non-political. We have to be pro-social economic, because that's what the real situation really is.
Elder Overton?
Not Elder Overton. I got Elder Overton in contact with Dr. Henderson now. They plan on setting up a technology product development institute here. So they're going to train people in the IT and ICT, and then they're going to start developing technology-based products right here in Liberia.
Yeah, like I said, man. Like I said, it's all coming together. Just like I said, one day we'll get a big push. One day, like I said, when I'm gonna work on this overseas private investment corporation. Once we have all these projects on paper, down on paper, then we can go to the overseas private investment corporation and get the money, the funding that we need to carry this out, because there's funds available. We just have to be organized, and we have the right people, the right
definitely
people on the ground, saying yes, I sponsor this, like this. So we're like I said, education and technical training is going to lead to investments, you know, going to lead to investments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Connecting Liberia with Black America on institutions and stuff like that, you know, Tennessee State University,
Definitely.
Norfolk State. I'm going to send a letter to Norfolk State, you know, and Hampton University and all these other places and say, look, you know, this is what we're doing. But we have to get that office built in Liberia and the stuff on the ground. So when people come, they got people that they can conference with. We got a list of people that they can meet with and do a full itinerary, you know?
Definitely.
That's what we have to do. And once we do that, man, we're on our way because, you know, what Liberia needs, what made Liberia strong back in the days was its connection to Black America. Liberia was connected to all our institutions, our fraternities, everything, you know? It was an extension of Black America. Churches, fraternities, lodges, everything was connected to Black America, you know? And then it was destroyed in 1980, you know? And so we're gonna rebuild all those connections again. You know, so people are gonna be doing their own thing. People are coming over. We're gonna have all the Black fraternities, the Black sororities, and we're gonna have all that stuff like that. We're gonna really build this. I think we're gonna be strong enough to go to countries like Angola, the Congo, because we have a base in Africa that's our own. And that's what Liberia is going to be, our base. You know, our base. So this is Pan-African towards nationhood. You know, Pan-African towards nationhood. And we're doing this, you know, we're not up here talking, we're up here grandstanding and blowharding and bulby eating and all this kind of nonsense. We're basically talking about things that we can do, you know?
More reparations comment right there. More reparations comment.
Yeah, reparations is but it's a stalling tactic, not all the like I asked the guy IC3 whatever. I said, okay, if you want to talk about reparations, can you get a consensus? He probably went back to his people and said, talk about the Afrikstan, they probably threw him out the window. No, these Negroes want to check. They want us to sit around for the next 40 years in the UK and America waiting on some sort of check before they do anything. That's how Garveytown failed. They'll get there, and well, what's the plan? We got reparations and everything. They start talking on stuff. All it is a stalling tactic, you know? You know? I like this brother Christopher, man, you know? Rose smart. Negro stalling tactics, you know? A Negro stalling. Liberia is a great starting point. Yeah, because this is a great starting point. We're rebuilding what we lost, you know, in Liberia. You know, so I've been working in Liberia for years now. I made a lot of connections. I have a lot of people on the ground. Got organization on the ground. I got people on the ground. We're building. We're purchasing. We got land. We got all the stuff we got land. We got more land than anybody can imagine in Liberia. You know, land is no freaking problem. You know, you can get land in Africa. Land in Africa is nothing. Getting the people together to build shit. You know, that's the issue. You know, getting people organized and building stuff. That's the issue. And land is going to be there. You know, less than like 3% of the continent is occupied and developed. Hell, land is no freaking problem. You got land everywhere, you know? Yep. So we got this going on.
All right, brother, you're back up and you're live.
Bomani, you're totally right. Like, I mean, Akon had to do what Akon had to do, and people need to live with that. I think he's one of the dopest contributors right now, no matter what nobody says. Shoops.
Yeah, taking Chinese investment money doesn't make you less of a person, and that's what I want people to understand.
There's different approaches to getting venture capital, and if you get venture capital from an Asian firm, so what? I mean, he's about implementing something, and how he gets his venture capital, that's up to him. Why you gonna hate a man for making progress with Asian friends?
Yeah, what's this, Bomani?
I'm just showing people that I'm trying to get them out of the mindset of this. Like my thing directly. Let me just get this off the screen real quick. All right.
I mean, we're first all Pan-Africans, but at the same time, we live in a global village. We're global citizens. So what if you got Asian friends that's about your implementing your agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where I'm at. You know, when we telling people, and you know, the conversation about reparations, I was telling people instead of me putting my energy into that, I'd rather put my energy into getting some of these government contracts and working with some of these nonprofit organizations to get grants and other access. So that's another form of how you can get what's owed to you and what we deserve as a people.
Yeah,
without having to, you know. And it's a tricky thing about reparations because I'm always telling people that, you know, it's based on power. You know, if you don't have the power to force a nation to give what's owed, you're not getting it. It's just not. So why not be more strategic and tactical? And you know, so that's what I put up. This is just one site, and it's just things that, you know, we as a people have to get more into. Whether it's, you know, whether it's the real estate contracts or that are available, but these things are available to us as a people, and then the more that some of us can put our energy together, the more these things can just get built and done. So
yeah, we got to think.
So I say that to say that about Akon and other people that people talk stuff about. Like, well, my favorite movie is Malcolm X movie by Spike Lee. And you know, I remember one time I was having a conversation. The only thing that the people can say was like Spike Lee used Jewish money to make the movie. I was like, the movie inspired my life.
To tell you the truth, right? It was Bill Cosby that came in and Oprah that helped him finish it. People don't talk about that. You know, it was Bill Cosby and Oprah that came in, and because you see Bill Cosby was at the end, man. That's why they hate Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby said, you know, at the end he was short like $2 million. Him and Oprah came in and gave him that money.
There you go, good move. And these are some of the people that we talk stuff about. Now I'm telling people like these are not people that we're just looking up to, but what we're saying is that some of the people that we talk mad stuff about. Let me just get my camera on. Some of those people we talk mad stuff about, and you know, just like I was referring to. And then, you know, when I talk about, you know, when we just using Umar Johnson as an example, it's not to trash the brother or to be disrespectful to the brother, because, you know, me and Kala love Umar, and there's like all of us, none of us are above criticism, especially if we're going to be out there criticizing other people. Right. So, you know, and we know when I talk about these things, and you know, even sometimes I tell people we may make a little joke and things like that, but you know, that's not what we're about. Yeah. But one of the situation is literally, you know, it's like you're gonna have to figure out a way to fund your projects outside of reparations, and so the other things that you can do is what it is. And when we're talking about you know, all these people that we talk about with Snow Bunny wives and things like that, unfortunately, some of these people may have contributed more to Black causes than any of us. Realistically, some of us don't support Black-owned business. Not some of us. A lot of us don't support Black-owned business. A lot of us don't give any kind of charity or donation to anything Black and things like that.
Yo, look at Harry Belafonte. Look at Harry Belafonte. He's been in the movement, been throughout Africa for the Pan-African cause. He's married to a white woman. Okay, we're gonna throw out the baby with the bathwater. You know,
exactly. So we have to reanalyze this stuff. So I'm telling people, like, okay, yeah, we can sit here and we can talk about all the Black men on Sports Network. You're gonna get consistently what you're gonna get. You know, and some of them, you know, like I mentioned earlier, some of them may say some positive uplifting stuff, and some of them may stand up here and there, but they're gonna play that role that they need to play, because realistically, let me give you a great example. Say example, Shaq and Charles Barkley decide to write on their network to start a revolution and say, you know what, we should do this as a people, and start standing up. And they ask to get fired, and they ask to get blackball or whatever they call it. What are we gonna do for them?
Yeah, right. Okay. Give me another example, right? Ice Cube has been married to his Black wife for 30-something years, right? But yet he's struggling with his fucking that team that league he created. You know, he ain't getting no support. You know, he ain't getting no real support from them. Look how Black people did to him with that when he talking about the platinum plan. You know, Black people threw him under the bus and everything. You know.
So why would these people give up their prominent positions and do certain things just to join a movement that people are gonna throw them under the bus?
But Ice Cube said, "Yo, this is a good idea." Now he said he did everything right. married his wife, did a good
about his
life.
people.
We support his people, did everything. His barbershop series was beautiful about the black people community. Obviously loves his community and everything like that. Negroes couldn't resist, man. That cool, he met me.
Yeah, I mean, brother, that's honestly what you get. So that's what I tell people: the movement we're running, we're gonna make up, we're gonna build as how we need to build it, and we don't need a bunch of people telling us how to do it and what to do, because at the same time too, that's what people want to do. So we're telling people we're gonna keep on leading in our direction, and we understand the situation is like the more you're doing for people, the more people want and things like that. So we're not paying these people any mind because we know their mentality. They're the same people that sit as spectators, and then they yelling, screaming, going off, and they won't get into the game to change anything. And I'm telling people, you can't win a game that you're not in and playing.
Yep.
We get our brother back up. Yes, brother, you're back up.
Yeah, Brother Bomani, I just want to give a quick reminder. I had to change your phone, so I'm going to need your WhatsApp number back. There's some real estate, prime real estate property that came up that I need to let information. So, when I get the WhatsApp number, then I'm going to be able to send you the information directly.
Absolutely. As you can see, brother, you see my number. My number is always floating around right there on the bottom of the screen. And yes, but yeah, I can definitely connect with you.
Okay, all right, cool. So there's some prime airport residential property, guys. I know there's about they just opened up a new road through the property, so we've got about 100 acres ready for sale, and it runs from the main road across.
Yeah, it dropped off again. All right, but doesn't anybody know they're looking for my number? We are always there. Live and direct. That's it, Simon. That is our contact information for you to connect with us, link with us. Reach out to us so we can connect and do some wonderful things together, because that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about how we can connect and make some things happen. And as we're doing some critique on our brother and what we're saying to people is like, family, we're gonna evolve from these things. That hate.
The brother Chris want to ask for the next show. Are you gonna be able to do a show Tuesday night? That'll probably be the last one.
Yeah, and I'm telling people that people like ourselves, we don't sit around and work on shows. We have work to do. So most of the time, I don't do live shows unless you're working and uploading videos. But the best thing I can tell people to do is to join the movement and join the energy of some productive work. That's the most important thing.
Join the social network. That's the easiest way to plug into us, man. Join the social network. Join the forums. Upload your content and upload your videos. Upload yourself. Tell us about yourself and everything like that. That's how we connect. You can connect. We got a Tanzania chapter in the BAIO. We got several people. So Chris, you should join. I think he was once a member. He joined Hobbsism's page, whatever. But join that. Download the app. Download the app. Join the social network. If you're already on, it'll plug you right to your account and everything like that, and have it on your phone. Have it on your phone and you connect with us. That's the best way to do it, bro. We have to have our own social media platform. I want to know, there's a black-owned social media platform like YouTube, right? Nobody uses, nobody uses, not Umar Johnson, not nobody, Nobody uses the black-owned social network platform. Black people, we're going to create our own Twitter space. We got all that stuff like that out there, but nobody uses them, I created the BAO social network, right? For people who just about repatriation, building in Africa and everything like that. All the chapters, the STEM group, the Land Development Agency, finance, all stuff like that, we can incubate and create. We want to create agencies out of all these groups that in there, And so the BAO is going to be an excellent organization for this revolution. You see now what Ross is telling all stuff like that. All this energy of the Black African Infrastructure Organization. You see manifest Elder Overton. He's been a member for the BAO since day one, you know, and a lot of other people. And so the Black African Organization is an umbrella organization for independent, all these independent platforms and organizations come together and work on common things. You know, it's all it is. You know, you bring your organization in there and whatever, you know, we just share notes and share opinions and share ideas and stuff. That's basically what it is. You know, so tell people all the time, man, the Black African Infrastructure Organization is dynamic. That's why we are focused on reparations and all stuff like that. We're dead set on building Africa, you know, building a future for ourselves, you know, and it will happen. It's happening now as we speak, you know. So anybody is connected with the BAO, you know, and stuff, you know, just join us and, you know, join the revolution.
Excellent, brother. Excellent. And that's how we do it, family.
You know, Kala, God is good. God is good. You know, I was saying, and for the most part, we've got just about like only 10% to put in. Like the 90% is all God, because He says many are the plans of man, but only the purpose of God will prevail. So it's like I'm a living testimony. I'm seeing what's happening. I made predictions like 15, 16 years ago, some of them 20 years ago, and I see a lot of stuff coming to pass now. And it's been a struggle and still is a struggle, but I see where it's all the hands of God. Like even the struggle is good in the context that God uses it to strengthen your character. Okay, he gives you little gifts through the challenges. Like you receive gifts of the spirit like patience. Okay, you receive gifts like humility. You know what I mean? And we just have to be positive going through our challenges, going up against them to overcome, you know, depending on God and trusting Him in spite of situations and circumstances, knowing fully well that He's with us in the midst of the challenges we go. Whether we're reaching out and grabbing the little gifts He's given or we're overlooking them and taking them for granted determines how long we stay in the struggle or how long we be up against a particular challenge. But it's a lot of blessing that comes even with the challenges that's about character building in each of us.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate our brother for some positive light and energy as usual. That's always great and wonderful. Yes, so brother, we are getting we're getting up there in time, and
yeah, we close it out.
Let me know if you just want to share anything before we close out.
You check me out. See my radio show. It's www.devilleradio.com. I'm on Wednesday nights Eastern Standard Time. That's a Kala Nation radio show. Check my brother Chris. He does a show on Saturdays called the Show Brother Experience. Man, he was on the ones and twos today, tearing it up, bro. I mean, he's like I said, DeVille Radio is what we need. We're playing real pop, real black music and stuff like that, you know. And on your tune in is Gangsterville Radio. Download the Gangsterville Radio app, you know, and listen to us and whatnot, you know. You want to join me, join this Black African Infrastructure Global Pipeline App, you know, on your Play Store or App Store. Download the app, you know, and make an account, right? Upload pictures and bios and stuff like that about yourself. Make friends in there like you do on Twitter. I don't have Twitter. Twitter, do you have friends? Or you do follow? Twitter's a follow. You know, Twitter's just follow. Okay. Facebook does friends. So it's like you make friends with different people, share information. And these are powerful connections, you know, that you're making. A lot of people on the continent. I would say about over half of people are on the continent, you know, in the BAO, you know. And so you got people in positions in different countries that you can link up with and stuff like that. It's all about building, you know, and building and stuff like that, you know. And for God's sake, leave YouTube alone, you know. Build with people that's actually accomplishing and doing stuff on the ground and stuff like that, you know. We got way too many people talking and not enough people accomplishing, you know. And building, you know. But I support everybody that's making an effort, right? But you got way too many people that's just they get with the wrong people, don't work out, and then they want to curse the Pan-African movement. Man, I've lost a lot of people to the FBA movement. Oh man, some Africans said this about us and whatnot.
So I mean, stupid stuff like that. People just literally just hear one or two things, and they just run with it. Or then the people in Africa don't like us. Like when people ask me, I was like, does that make any sense?
These are Negropeans on sitting in Canada or whatnot. They see Black America getting all the shine and everything. Of course, there's a little envy and jealousy. You gotta understand that. I understand that. There's a lot of people, don't we come across sometime, but you gotta understand that the majority of Africans love us.
That's been my 100% experience.
Yeah, majority
of people telling me like, hey, I don't really see a bunch of Black people traveling together, and I'm like, yeah, this is what we do, Africa for the Africans. Sometimes we're in a country full of this number of white groups, and it's just we're the only Black group of this came there doing some roots and culture tour.
And that we're able to do that, man. That impresses other people. Wow, you're able to come to Africa on your own accord and whatnot, because they're so used to seeing white people and everybody else come. Then we start.
So they're gonna cater to that mindset. So I tell people let's just get away from taking everything personal and just be about the business. And that's why we're telling people hey, if you want to just go somewhere in Africa and then you just go on your own, and then you're gonna deal with these things. But if you literally just looking to just build together and put Black cooperative economics together, you and whoever you're with can make it and survive in the different countries. But nevertheless, Ross would love to continue on with you, but we do need to close out. And Kala's always good, brother, and connecting and things like that. And for the person who asks when is the next show, just subscribe to the channel, and whenever we do these things, you'll get it. But main thing that people have to understand is that some of us are out here working, and we're not here doing YouTube live every few days and just running off our mouth talking about every little political subject and things like that. And like I always mention, man, those who the shoe fit, wear it. Because sometimes people are like, "Oh, you talking about me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, obviously I'm talking about you. You're the one that doing these little antics and things like that, and then acting like you're representing our movement. You're not representing our movement. You're representing just the confusion of a movement. You know what I mean? If we're gonna be serious about this movement, I'm telling people we just need to be literally straight up focused on what we're doing. Spend our days working on what we're doing. If you spend your days doing shows talking about Tariq, talking about Umar, talking about Joe Biden, talking about these people, every day and things like you and I, we literally just analyze about all the people I just talk about, or sometimes about them. But it's like to sit there, just shows on these things, or sit there doing show on the senator race and Herschel Walker, and and Herschel Walker is gonna win, he may win, and all this other stuff. It's like I don't have time for all this. That's why people, when you see me out there in the world of business and making that. We don't, we have customers to deal with every day. You can't sit here and just play around on YouTube and next thing you know, it's like an entertainment. I mean, like I'm telling some of these people who got all these followers, I was like, people are not really checking for you like that. You're an entertainment for them. You're somebody that they just love to sit around and listen to, and this but it's like we're not here to entertain people, to sit around and listen to. For you to sit around and just listen to us like we're some kind of comedians or something like that. We're breaking down the process of Pan-Africanism Nationhood as far as practically what we know based on knowledge, experience, and connections, and what we can do, and telling other people, hey, we have built an energy and you can join us and we can make it greater, and we can build great opportunities for our children. Because at the end of the day, all the selfish stuff that people are doing, you tell them, I was like, what about our children? You're just gonna keep on focusing on
our children are gonna inherit another reparations movement. Reparations.
I mean, well, that seems to be the only thing that they want to pass on to them. I'm telling people, let's get into some government contracts and some other things, and and you work your way through these things, but based on opportunities that our people worked on, so we can have access to, but we don't take advantage of it. And then when when the Mexicans and other groups come in and they're taking advantage of it, then we complain that the Mexicans are getting this and these groups are getting it. I'm like, I don't know. it's like a no-win situation for us. It's like, I mean, it's like everything is a complaint.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you expect? Other nations, the people from somewhere else that, you know, are supposed to just come here and they see a gold mine in America and they supposed to just sit around and just play with it?
Mm-hmm. They go ahead. They coming for the bag, man. You know.
Look at the Indians in East Africa. You know what I mean? People may say, "Oh, East Africa is terrible and rundown," but the Indians didn't look at that. They look at an opportunity to build within a nation, and they did. And now they're respected in that country. Now you never know. One day, one of their people may be president of countries like Kenya, Tanzania, and so on.
Tanzania first Indian
they'll put the energy in, and I mean,
they're gonna have to say you gotta have a South African Indian president. You have a fucking
them days are coming, brother. And days are coming.
Yeah, you gotta have he's president of Cameroon. You know.
People like, well, they shouldn't do that. I'm like, well, you're talking about people who have been here for generations that are contributing to the country. Now, I'm not saying that they're not exploiting the country because that's another story.
Yeah, the bottom line is people see that giant.
But the government is going to look at it as the government is going to say they contribute, and they're going to show how they contribute. So we have to say now, how do we contribute now? And that's
we have access to billions of dollars that we could funnel to Africa, and we're not taking advantage of that. That's on us. You know,
so they're going to say, well, you guys had a chance and you didn't make a move. So we made a move with the Indians and the Lebanese and the Chinese and the Japanese and so on.
And pretty soon we're not going to have a continent left to freaking do. That's why we got to do what we got to do. You know, if it means going to OPEC or whoever we got to get with, we got to get with them, you know. That's
absolutely
what play, you know. Whoever the hell the ends justify the means, you know.
Absolutely, we have to upgrade our nation building moves and things like that. So I'm telling people, you know what I mean. I love some of the stuff our brother Umar Johnson talk about, but he's not any crown prince of our movement to where where people should just listen to him like follow him and things like that. When he's practically out there accomplishing and building projects and things like that, that's gonna put us in a different situation. Then you should follow these people. And there's a bunch of other people that I'm not gonna call their name because they're gonna be like, yo, Bomani, why are you making videos talking about me? But at the end of the day, I don't have to even put their name in it because they know who they are and they know the foolishness that they're doing. And they know what they're doing is causing harm to a movement of what we build and make it seem like this movement. This is not a joke, this is our livelihood. We mess this thing up, our children would starve, our children would die, our children would be homeless. And that's dead serious. Marcus Garvey touched on these things 100 years ago. And and we should have gotten we should have gotten the momentum a long time ago. But now, we either do this and make it happen, or, they're just gonna say, yeah, there's a group of people that they talk about all the stuff, but all they do is just YouTube stuff. They're just YouTube revolutionaries, YouTube nation builders. That's it, armchair revolutionaries.
That's why I refuse to get a YouTube channel. I don't want to be one. I don't want to be one.
Yeah. Well, if you're not sitting around doing YouTube live like these guys every day and then talking about all this foolishness online outside of building anything, then you should be good.
Yeah, I will refuse to do YouTube, bro. I refuse to do my radio show. I do my.
The next thing you know, you're doing YouTube video and you're obsessed with people like Tariq Nasheed, where you're making videos of every day.
I can't do that shit, man.
I mean, it's like that's like is that what Pan-Africanists do? Pan-Africanists don't sit around making videos about these people. If you want to have a conversation about them, have a conversation. You notice in none of our topics, none of these people name are in our topics.
Yeah,
I'm telling people that
I don't even like.
We ain't trying to give them any shine like that.
I don't like the term FBA ADOS. Notice how I never mentioned that term, FBA ADOS and all that stuff like that, because it's irrelevant. The more you talk about it, the more you're breathing life to it. Tariq's a nobody, Umar's a nobody, Professor Black Truth's a nobody. These people are nobodies. We talk about these people, we breathe life to them. They become relevant when they should have been irrelevant to a Pan-African world. And so, like I said, this ADOS FBA move is dying out. I told you that we didn't have to do nothing. It was foolishness. The whole where we already here, original Aborigines, dying out.
That movement was never nothing. These movements are internet movement. Like I tell people, you go around your neighborhood and ask people about FBA, ask them about Tariq Nasheed. Nobody won't know them. Ask them about
nobody knows.
Ask them about any of these people.
Average
people don't know anything about them. Only the people that's really just on YouTube know about these people. That's it.
Nobody knows who
a lot of our people literally are not on YouTube. A lot of our people don't ever watch these Pan-African anything or any of these things. They watch, you know, they're watching other things on YouTube. The biggest person that people may see is probably just Umar Johnson, because he has so many videos, so many people interviewing him. So
yeah, he's mainstream.
That's who people, you know, honestly know. And then, you know, Tariq Nasheed from his movies.
Bottom line,
you know, but as far as any real people that's in the movement that's doing grassroots stuff, now they don't, you know, we don't get those platforms. You know, like, you know, these people don't reach out to Bomani and Kala and say, come on our network. You know, but you know who they reach out to? These other people who like to talk good. I tell people, whatever we're talking about, we have practical things behind it. We have experience behind it. You know, we have an organization, we have a movement behind it. It's not just us talking good and talking nice and just to sound like, you know, just to just explain how intelligent we are and talk about how much degrees we have and things like that. That's not about, that's, and then back again, family, that's not what our movement is about. And I've been in this movement long enough to define what our movement is about, and been around, you know, elders that are passed, and they're passed on that movement to us to take it to another level. And we're making jokes. We've turned our movement into a YouTube playground. This is sick and sad. We have people putting titles in their name with Pan-Africanism, and then all they doing is literally sit around doing a clown show all day long, running their mouth off like there's some kind of experienced scholar. That we don't want to hear nothing what you have to say. Tell us what you're building for our people, and tell us how you're making it work. And no, instead they get on there because they feel like they're smart enough to teach people. You know what I mean? I was like, what do you teach?
That's the Prince of Pan-Africanism.
No, I mean, it's, and I'm not even talking about him. I'm talking about just other people with those titles in their name, and other people who talk of that stuff. And I'm not gonna call their name, but people, you know, I'm talking about. These people, you see them all the time, you know, and things like that. So you can get with those people if you want, family, and then see where you get, or you can get with people that's out there really building it and doing it. You know, like I tell people, we put work into that wonderful project and community project that we're building. You know, and instead of people committing to where we can build it, because I'm telling people this is a reflection of a small percentage of us working on this and getting it done. Imagine if we had a higher percentage of it. So I'm telling our people, if you want to see things get done, put the energy behind it more than just your money. You know? And we'll get somewhere. But beyond that, you know, you can keep on listening to these people talking all smooth, talking about they got their land in this country, they got their land in this country, and they're gonna do this and they're gonna do this. You know, it's easy to talk. I'm telling you, easy to talk. But give them a few years and see where see if they stand the test of time. There's only a few small percentage of people that's been around for a while and still here and still keeping this movement strong. Because after you go through a few trials and tribulations, trust me, family, they'll start running. Because you're gonna have to, if you talk about building anything and being in leadership, you're gonna have to deal with a lot of people. You're gonna have to deal with people, and you're gonna have to work things out, and you're gonna have to work with people also. Like some of these people, you see them working with nobody. You just see them just talking, just running their mouth, talking like there's some self-proclaimed black leader, or there's some young guys coming up and they just know everything. Like some of these people, they're in their 30s and they just think they know everything. I'm like, you know, they just think they know everything about this movement and they're always right and they're the smartest. Now, obviously, we're not talking about Omar Johnson. We're talking about somebody else because he's not in his 30s. But it's like, it's a bunch of different people. And when we talk about all these things, you know, we're talking about a multitude of people. They're on YouTube corrupting our movement and literally showing our movement no respect and literally just, I don't know what they have to offer other than a big ass mouth. And me personally, I'm sick and tired of all these people running their mouth and things like that. But what that does, it distracts the movement against people who are really doing the real work, and it sidetrack the support that the real people doing the real work and the real movement, you know, and they don't get it because it turns around to be an entertainment show. Like all these people that I'm mentioning, whether I mention their name or not, they're all a part of a crazy ass, weird ass entertainment show on YouTube that's literally just destructive. And that's why you don't see me even get on much on YouTube. I just do my work and things like that because, you know, you don't want to be mixed up in a group of these people. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, when we turn around and, you know, other people will say that they have these people representing them. Who we have representing us? Entertainers and fake ass scholars and YouTubers. Is that who? I mean, you know, you're talking about cute kids like Woody Meyer. They're representing like he's some kind of leader for Pan-African movement. He's a cute kid that does nice, cute videos and things like that. You know, and you know, and there's a platform on there for these people. But it's like, stop propping these people up like they're gonna help you. If you're trying to go to Africa tomorrow, none of them are gonna help you. You call Bomani, We'll get you set up. We do it all the time. We've been doing it for a long time. So I'm telling people, understand the difference with those out there that are about you, that have got your back and are willing to work with you. The enormous people reach out to me and say, well, I try to reach out to this person, and I was like, family, they're YouTubers. They're not there to help you. They're gonna do their videos, they like their comments, they're gonna say a bunch of nice stuff. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty in the daytime where you actually need to talk with somebody and work on a project with them and get all the connections you need. Let's see if they really take time out to help you. No, because what they're doing is cloud chasing. Everything is about how much views I can get, how many people can send me donations and things like that. Some of us are really about, and things like that. So let me just add our brother and Ross. I know say we're gonna close, but let's add him in and we're gonna drop some more science. I'm always getting excited, Kala, because it's not really a lot of energy out there talking about this movement. There's a lot of there's a lot of clowns out there that people are getting sidetracked by it because they say, I like this person. He talks so good, and this person, this and that. I was like,
yeah, YouTube is dangerous, man. YouTube, Twitter, and all stuff is dangerous, man. You got people, man. It's something else, man. That's why I don't do it.
Yeah, because you got a lot of real people out there doing real work, and you'll never see them on YouTube. Lots of them. Sometimes it's hard for me to get certain people on that I deal with in business because they're not going to get on YouTube.
I a lot of people. I can never get them even to.
There's a lot of people can't get on there.
I watched your show the other night. Well, why'd you call in? Man, come on, I'm too big. I can't, get in with all that. I love what you guys are talking about. As people will say, I love what you guys are talking about, but I can't get involved. Whatever, I'll help you out. Whatever, like that. There's a lot of people that go to the continent, whatever, like that. Dino, he don't got a YouTube channel. He's basically just got back with 16 people to Ghana. Dion, not Dino, Dion. Brothers like that. They're basically doing their thing. And getting stuff accomplished. Getting stuff done on the ground. Stuff like that. Connecting with us. Connected with the BAO, connected with you. And doing stuff. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for people that's going to do stuff. It's not about saying it's not a one-man show. Us working together. Working together, pulling out resources. We got this, you got this. Let's see if we can work together. But people don't want to do that, and that's why we had the situation with Sabo. We're gonna do our thing, and whatnot. And we don't need that. I'm a lot of hard-headed BAO members. With the Sabo. Man, I wasted $60,000.
And the thing of it is, what you're telling some people is a true story based on someone personally.
Yeah.
So I'm telling people like, whatever they hear us saying certain things, it's not.
Then even after all that, they still don't really get it. They're like, yeah, but look, dude, man,
The first thing people are gonna say is like, yeah, but money, you would say that because you want people to do business, and you're like, nah, I would say that because I explained to people before they went and did those things that these things are not what you think it is. And I didn't just like wake up in this game yesterday. People like myself organically build and learn what I learned.
You remember from Fiandra
16 years. Exactly. So that experience
Garvey
Town, and the Fiandra situation was a dirty situation. They buried two of our elders' sister in a shallow grave. Cut their throats like animals.
Yeah.
And this was back like
nobody deserves it. Nobody
and the only thing that they wanted to do, they wanted to live on land, to build to be a part of their community. They wanted to live amongst their people. That's all they wanted to do. So when people like myself are doing these things, you're making sure that you do your legwork because you don't want those things to happen. You want to create a community or area where we can come and go and we can enjoy peace. So you have to do the legwork. So the legwork for us is like, we have an office there. We have people doing public relations, people building a relationship. Whenever I come in and out, I'm connecting people and they're working there with us. And, we have our own representation there on the ground. It's when you're doing this, family, this is straight. There's no time for amateur work. This is straight up for professionals. And in order for you to be a professional, you have to put at least several years in. It's kind of like when I used to did aircraft maintenance. You don't just get up and become a professional aircraft technician. And first of all, no one is going to give you that kind of priority anyway. No one's going to let you just you just get a license, they're gonna let you taxi a 757, a 777 down the down the runway and things like that, and troubleshoot it. You have to put your work in and build credibility, and then we can trust you to do some work and lead a crew. And it's the same thing for this movement. Too many people just hop out of nowhere, like people I don't want to even call their name. I'm like, who's this person that just came in who think he just, we think you're gonna come take my turf? You think you're just gonna come and just, because you always have people like, oh yeah, I like what that person do, but I can do it better. Well, let me see you do it better. Put your work in.
It's your man, not your boy.
There you go, man. You always got to call people out, man.
Your boy. No, but I mean, I have nothing against the brother, but you on YouTube, man. It's like it's a whole different thing when you're talking about building.
Yeah, absolutely. You can make some cute YouTube videos, anybody, but can you go out there and actually organize people and communicate with people and actually keep up with people and follow up with people and maintain meetings and and put together strategies and tactics to get things accomplished. Whole different ball game, man. So family, by us saying all those things, we want you to literally rethink what you're thinking, because there's too many people glorifying all these people on YouTube like they some gods or leaders of a movement, and none of them are. And none of them, so what you're looking at, you're looking at me and Kala, the kings of Pan-Africanism and nationhood. What we have been breaking down about our movement, our connection in Ghana, Liberia, and what we've been working in the Pan-African world. Is it right there? It's and it's gonna get better when we get the relative support from our people. So I'm telling people that all these celebrities that you're supporting, they're not bringing it home for you, and because we've seen none of them do. So stick with the grassroots.
Stick with us. We're gonna get this done. You're really interested about nation building, and the bottom line, like it's to summarize this show tonight, the summit, the U.S. summit, where African Americans and what we're doing was not mentioned. The money we spent in Ghana was not mentioned. The African American travel to Africa was not mentioned. That's up significantly. The travel. And stuff like that. How that's affect the airlines, everything. But more people are going to the continent. More Black people in America are buying property. More money is going filtering to the continent through Black America. Black people get involved on the continent, all over the continent. That basically was ignored, right? So in other words, basically, if we're saying if the numbers grow in the coming years, when the numbers start growing, right, we gotta start saying, look, it's time for us to basically say, look, we got some say-so over what's going on. We got the Pan-African groups, and this is what will happen. They'll say, oh, African Americans are going to Africa and everything. You know who they'll reach out to? Let's reach out to Roland Martin.
Exactly. See, this is what I'm talking about. Exactly.
Yeah, they'll reach out to Roland Martin.
They gave him a seat at the table to sit down with the president. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah. They'll sit down and talk to Roland Martin. They'll sit down and talk to every kind of clown. They'll find let's talk to Jeezy. Let's talk to her like that. They will not look for the Pan-Africanists who are actually doing this to give the respect. They will not interview anybody that's going to upset this status quo of America foreign policy. America doesn't care about our interests in Africa. They don't. If we're going to the continent and we got legitimate fees, the government should back it up. You got Americans living in Belize, right? You know what they do? They meet with the ambassador. So what are you guys doing over here? Oh, well, we do retirement villages. We do vacation. We do this. Okay. We pay taxes. We do this, And the ambassador or embassy will say, okay, we got your back. Just let us know. But do we have that sort of relationship in Africa? No. You got African Americans living in Africa, right? Do the ambassadors meet with us? I remember the Association of Africans with Ghana met with the ambassador briefly a few years ago. I thought that was a change. They said they just met with him, told him what their goals are, what their activities are in the country and everything like that. And I think that was very progressive, that was years ago. It was like 10 years ago. And they said, yeah, we met with the ambassador. He just wanted to know. And he said, we had a friendly meeting. And that was the end of it, But if the United States is doing business in Africa, whatnot, and doing stuff, then we should know. We should be okay. You know, we're here, and we got interest in Africa. Well, let's not see if our interest conflicts with your interest, whatever like that. What's the deal? You know, in other words, that's the sort of respect. You know, but when it comes to black people, there's no freaking respect. There's the ambassador to the Gambia. Do they freaking meet with the Gambian community over there and see what's going on, say what we could do and everything? Yeah. So this is what we're talking about. So the relationship is this: we have to basically go to these countries, right? We got to stop trying to be like, oh, I'm a Ghanaian now. I wonder how Navigate feel about that now. I'm a Ghanaian. About to take his.
Brother, you know, he hasn't been on the show since you know, these things. Because I was gonna ask him what's going on in your community. I mean, you know, because you gotta let our people know what's going on.
What's going on with the Plotters Association?
Yeah, you know, you're the Plotter Association president. Holler at us. What's going on? Because you know, man, you know, even though some of the people that you know that rode with me and traveled with me went over there, you know, and then, you know, it's, you know, I still feel for them. Well, I actually don't, because you know, some of them deserve those things, because you know, when they look at you like, okay, I'm like, yo, we did all of this for you, stick with us. That's my thing, you know what I mean? When you're dealing with people and they've been loyal to you and they're doing things for you, stick with them so we can do this together. Because it takes time, you know, it takes years to work on these things. You know what I mean? And that's why the presidents always seek for re-election.
Mm-hmm.
The job is, you know, jobs don't get done in 4 years.
Yeah. Give me 4 years to finish what I was doing. That's
what it's supposed to be anyway.
Yeah, Obama, that was a big mistake, man. We should have just let him have the first. He did good his first 4 years. That was second 4 years. I was like, who the hell is this nigga? You know, that second horrible. You know.
Yeah, Ross, you want to come in and give a last close out statement before we close? I was trying to get you. We're supposed to be wrapping up. But if you want to go.
I'll wrap up like this. I'm a believer, and I believe in an everlasting heritage. So if we can just say a word of prayer together, that'd be good.
Yes. So a word of prayer.
I believe that
using our ancestors.
The hand that labors shall not labor in vain, is what he says.
Go ahead.
Okay, according to the word of God, he says that the hand that labors shall not labor in vain. So there's no way that his word will return to him void. So the work that y'all are putting in is definitely going to yield fruits. And on top of that, he says again that his will, okay, he expresses his will like this. He says his will is for us to prosper and have good success, even as our souls prosper. That's the will of God. So God is not associated with failure at all. That's why we got to align with him.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it, brother.
Let me ask some of those could come. Hold on, Ross. What's that last comment before that? Put that last comment, Kala. Can you please lay thoughts on who's responsible for making a visible part of the infrastructure conference? Yo, look, the bottom line. This is the funny part about this, Bomani, right? We got all these social media platforms, right? And we got all these people that claim to be Pan-Africans and everything, right? But yet, how are we blindsided, right? We got all these people going to the continent and all stuff like that, right? But yet, when they had a U.S. Africa summit, African Americans were completely absent. The Pan-African world wasn't even giving heads up that it was happening or nothing.
That made no sense right there.
What?
We are the movement. We are the damn movement. African Diaspora is the movement.
Kala, when you get off the show, call me. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. I'm like, you know. So what has to happen is this. Like somebody said, Where's around the world? Where's a joke? You know. I mean, he's a president. I don't have nothing against him or not, but I think he's in over his head. You know. And the bottom line is this: they had a rally today in Liberia talking about the people are tired of suffering or not. These people are angry. You know, it's people angry. It's like, well, nothing's happening. And he's like, very like, yo, what's going on with our country and everything, you know? And then, and the whole thing is, you can like a person, but that don't mean he's the best person to get your country. Well, you have to basically, like, I'm sure the majority of Rwandans, they love and hate Paul Kagame. You know, I mean, it must be something. You're Rwandan, right? You see a country developing, right? But you got to get out there once a month to go out there and clean your country. People be probably cursing under their breath, but they understand. African Black people don't understand trials and tribulations, you know, for the future, sacrifice. We want everything now, you know. And if somebody can make us feel good now,
yeah, that's that instant gratification mentality.
Say it again. Say it again.
I said that's that instant gratification mentality.
Instant gratification, you know. And so therefore, like when Wade was president, oh yeah, pro-poor and whatnot, you know, and then a year into the presidency, like what the hell's going on? You were so hyped up and whatnot, you know, and I'm sure Wade is a good guy, he means well, but the whole thing is this is serious. You're talking about people's lives. You're talking about a nation.
Yeah.
Something to play with. You don't play like that, you know.
He needs all the support he can get from the most brilliant minds. That's the thing. He's it's not that he doesn't have goodwill. He's lacking good counsel.
Yeah, it's counsel, you know, and then also he puts a guy in had the airport that had no experience. You know, how the hell that happened? Because somebody recommended him one night. The guy
that guy never made it. That guy never made it there at all. I talked to the chairman of the board for the airport. He said the guy never made it there at all. He stopped right at the board interview. He never got in.
Okay, but how did that even get to that point? You know, you're going to be managing the airport. You know, I'm like, wow, you know, and so you know all this stuff going on, and you know, all I can say is it's up to the Liberian people. You know, when you vote next year, the Cummings, I don't know much about him. He doesn't have to fire him. You know, he's not popular. But, you know, I don't think 6 more years of the same old, you know, because you got people like that guy, what's his name? What's the guy name that they put the sanctions on? What's it? McGill. They put the sanctions on. I remember when he was.
Most of these guys ain't got no track record. Okay, that we can support and uphold. They ain't got no track record. Okay, like take America for example. You know, starting the union and all that type of thing. It's not like the government had anything. It took the private sector, you know, industrial constituency to build up America's governance and government infrastructure over time. So we need a strong pro-private sector type of entrepreneur leadership, all right? And these guys ain't got that. None of them show no real substantial employment creation activity that they've been on, a productive production-based activity. They can't show nothing, okay? So if you ask me, like, it's a waste of time even scrutinizing them. And there's no political party with like a vision that they can show us, okay, that says, okay, this is what Liberia should look like by our development agenda over the next 20, 30, 50, 100 years. They can't show us nothing. It's just a bunch of rhetoric, okay? So I'm not going to vote for somebody's personality. Everybody got a personality. Babies born today got personality when they come out their mother's womb, all right? I've never voted in this country. I can't vote for nobody's personality. All right. So until there's a vision-based platform of implementing that vision, okay, that development agenda and everything else, you know, reforming national consciousness and all of that, understanding the unification and the need for reconciliation, how we're all Pan-African.
Let me ask you a question. Does Liberia Constitution have an amendment process?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to change the Constitution. It could be
it does. It does. Through the legislature, by legislation.
So why did they have nobody said, let's
it can be amended. There's amendment clauses in there. That can happen.
Okay, so if you have an amendment process, right, you could basically do amendment where you can limit.
No, there is a decentralization policy policy that the government commission. Yeah.
But that's what needs to happen.
Pardon?
Maryland should have its own administration. Nimbus should have its own administration. You know, and those, at least those, and Grand Bassa, those 3 counties should have their own administration. You know, their own state government and stuff like that on a local and regional level. You know, and until that happens and everything, until the power concentration outside of Monrovia is, nothing's going to change. You know, those countries should have their own tax base, all this stuff like that, to bring in their own foreign capital, foreign investment, their own everything. You know, and so until that happens, it's never going to. They can only do it through an amendment process. You know, where where counties become provinces and stuff like that. But but the way people talk about it, they just want to get in power and do the same freaking thing that everybody. So it does. It's a system that's basically corrupt to begin with. You know, so we're gonna do that. So we'll tell you. So anyway, brother, you want to go ahead and shut it down, brother?
Yes, absolutely. Let's shut it down. So, family, appreciate you joining us. And if you're looking to find out when we're gonna be on next, that's the channel right there. That's the YouTube channel. Let's post the link. Well, you're on the YouTube channel, so let's subscribe to the channel. And we usually put these things out ahead of time anyway, as far as the shows. So you can connect with us. But in the meantime, family, we have a whole lot of work to do, so that's what we're going to be doing. So if you want to highlight us, just reach out to us and join the party, join the work movements, and let's keep it strong. Keep it strong.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris Brazen, for signing up for the Ning site and everything. He just joined, rejoined.
Excellent.
And everything. Hopefully, you join the Tanzania chapter, become ahead of that, and get that popping. So we have a Tanzania head, we got a Liberia head. Yeah, we're building this thing, man. We're gonna be fucking all chapter heads are gonna be fucking powerful people one day, because they're gonna lead our people in each country, And so we're doing this thing, But
that's it, family. So there he goes, family. Like my brother Kala Genesis say, doing and accomplishing 2 different things. So let's focus on the accomplishing, because too many people are so-called doing.
Yeah. Do it to me, baby. Do it right, You gotta do it. You gotta accomplish. When you accomplish, you can stand on your accomplishments, man. I'll take my hat off, I'll be like, you see, where's my hat at? When you accomplish, right? I have my hat on. I'll tip my hat.
Absolutely, because there's only so much we can give you for just being a good talker.
Yeah, and a doer. Yeah, accomplish.
Good talker, good entertainer, but being
a doer. We gotta accomplish. We gotta get across the finish. We gotta achieve. That's what I like the masses, right? When they see achievement,
What's up with this dude right here, man? What's up with this dude, man?
Okay, I wish he would call in, man. What's another one? He's like, the CIA is not after you, brother, but really call in sometime. He says, who's pushing that in Africa, not part of the African Diaspora? How is it supposed to? Well, the whole thing is this. You got to understand something, right? We call ourselves African Diaspora, right? But you got to understand something how the white people are. They're way ahead of that, right? They when you look at the way they phrase Black people in America, they don't like using the term African Americans, right? They say Black America. That's to cut you off from something different from Africa. They don't like using the term African American. The term African Diaspora, right? The way it's defined right now by the international community and the African Union is anybody that was born in the African continent, right? That's Indians, whites, are part of the African Union. It does not include African Americans for the most part. U.S. citizens. It only talks about people who are like 1 or 2 generations into America, who have ties to their homeland, who came here voluntarily or involuntarily due to war, refugee status, and stuff like that. That's the African diaspora. Okay.
You go, family. So when we're talking about African diaspora and they're talking about African diaspora, family,
it's
talking about different things.
So that I'm part of the African diaspora. Bro, sit your ass down. You ain't part anything that worth having. You ain't a part of.
Yeah, Elon Musk is a part of the African diaspora, not you.
Yeah, Charlize Theron, Elon Musk is part of the African diaspora.
That was a good one, man. I know people like, what are they talking about? I was like, I'm sorry if we lost you, man. You have to catch us back next time when we break it down for you again. or go back in a few minutes and slow it down. But yeah, Kala, man, always good, brother. We're gonna keep on doing it strong as we build up for the strong 2023. And so family, we're always looking for some good folks, some grant writers, business people to connect with so we can do this strong. So Kala, we laid out the network there, and you have my phone number and information. So reach out and connect with us one way or another, so we can just connect. Especially if you're serious, because that's what we're looking for. Serious people who get this, where we don't have to spoon feed, or we just don't have to tell what to do every minute.
There's an old saying, right? They have 3 sons, right? They say, well, son number 1, if you stay on him, he'll do everything right. Everything you got to do it. And then the second son, right? Well, he does everything I tell him to do, and everything like that. I don't really have to tell him something, but he knows what to do, and everything like that. He follows instructions, right? The first son is the best one. Why? Because he does without being told.
There you go.
In other words, basically, he does with the son that does without being told. In other words, he basically, but everything's done. You don't have to tell him. Then you got the son. If you tell him everything, he'll do it. And you got the other son that basically you got to push him, and sometimes he works, sometimes he doesn't. But the son that does without being told, that's what we need. We need people that do without being told. People who are independent. People who will say, "Look, I got it. I got this, man."
And that's simple.
That's simple. Do without being told. I was all about Ross. He does without being told. He's on it. He's on it in Liberia. He got this shit organized. He got us organized in Liberia to the point. So when we start bringing investors over there and everything like that, it's gonna be a smooth operation. Does without being told.
There you go, family. So these are key jewels we're dropping on you so we can have a more effective movement, and so people can see our movement as a serious movement and not like the clown show that it looked like on YouTube. So family, once again, this is Bomani Tyehimba and Kala Genesis family, the kings of Pan-Africanism and nationhood. Let's keep on building that global Black business pipeline.
Peace, brothers. Peace, Bomani.
Right.